Looks like we're live. Josie, congratulations, you're first. Oh, fuck.
The lagoons, the technology
Yeah.
used, and how insane it is the amount of waste that they have essentially just poured into an environment and an environment there that also has a ton of water, rivers, streams. It's quite flat, so it's very susceptible to pollution in this in the same way. If you don't mind explaining
Yeah.
their process.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, look, when Wendell Murphy put these hogs in barns, he put 1,200 inside one shed and then, multiply the shed.
EDP got caught again? Wait, fuck.
This is exactly why math is important. Respect this math.
You can take this and just attach it to here. So take this, do whoosh, and then whoa, you have a circle. Where this is, 0 and this equals to pi.
Wow.
Identify.
I'm going to pretend I understand, otherwise I will sound
I'm
like...
also gonna pretend I understand it. That's the thing with teaching, you don't have to understand everything you say.
Are you
You
sure?
just have to be confident enough, right? And then
I do that too sometimes.
True, thanks for the donation, Math Club.
Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahara, and title of this video might have sparked some eyes opening up, ladies and gentlemen. Now, EDP445 is a person that, honestly, at this point, you should just know about, okay? This is one of the largest YouTube events that ever happened, and a couple of years ago at this point, EDP445 was caught in a sting operation where he was trying to meet with somebody not of legal age, okay? Now, in this video, EDP claims to be going there for some cupcakes, and this was part of a sting operation that was so poorly done that EDP445, even caught dead to rights, effectively got away with it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you get away with such a heinous accusation, such a heinous situation, that should be your wake-up call. Never touch an internet chat room, never talk to people online, and just move through with the rest of your life. Granted, you will become a social pariah, as you should, but at the end of the day, at least, you have some semblance of freedom. Now, at least after that, EDP's entire life pretty much went to the downswing. He lost his YouTube channel, he lost every social media platform. At this point, I'm pretty sure, even the most raunchy platforms like neonazi.net or something probably wouldn't even take him, okay? He is that much of a social pariah. Ladies and gentlemen, EDP445 continues to make accounts on YouTube, TikTok, X, whatever, consistently gets banned because, again, no platform wants a sick freak. He has no chance of coming back. And even the few shirts that he sells does not cover the fact that he lives in absolute poverty at this point. Dude's got no money, no job, because even if you try looking up his name on the internet, background checks all lead back to his absolutely tarnished reputation. Now, if you're wondering, but Muta, don't you feel bad about it? I don't care. Recently, EDP had a kidney scare, and people wondered, isn't that enough to draw sympathy? Again, ladies and gentlemen, given what he was caught doing, I actually have no sympathy. I don't even care if the worst happens. So today, I got something wild for you. EDP445 was caught allegedly doing the same thing again, meeting up with the miner. Now, this man on Gideon's page over here, you can see this person in the suit. First off, he's dressed up as a cupcake. God damn, Gideon. Jesus Christ. But of course, initially when I saw this, I thought, please don't make a mockery out of this. If you've caught this individual allegedly seeking out a minor, please do not screw up the situation by handling this sting operation with no care and letting this individual get away. But in this case, it appears this individual right here in the suit is Skeeter Gene. Skeeter Gene runs a YouTube channel where he skeets a predator. And basically, he is a professional Chris Hansen impersonator. In my opinion, he might...
How are you feeling tonight? Eat before stream? Who is this person?
The guy talking is named Mudahar, but he's talking about EDP445, who's used to be a huge YouTuber, but he was basically catfished. And everybody found out he was a pedophile. So he got caught again. That's what's going on here. I'm eating right now because I just finished another workout. It's just lettuce and a little bit of mock meat. Thanks for the donation, Sam, and I'm feeling good. Can't complain.
He finally got 405.
And then
Let's take a look.
the most chalk up that they're always doing. Wrist. So it's just I think because if you feel good I did that. Get it next weekend.
God, the fucking music. He's using a really shitty bench. Surprised he doesn't just slide. Makes it harder with those super deep J hooks too. Nice. I will give him that. He probably could have done it with a pause. He just did it touch and go. I think he's strong enough to have done it with a pause. But that went up pretty easy. Thanks for the donation, TT.
might actually be better than the... In fact, he's a lot better than the real guy.
This time it isn't a decoy. He actually was talking to a 15-year-old girl and sent her nudes. She pressed charges and he might face jail time. Sweet.
Damn Chris Hansen. And of course, in this situation, he actually hunts down really, really evil, predatory individuals and basically involves law enforcement from what I've seen and gets these situations done. So there's actually like proper chain of custodies in this situation. So it really seems like, Gideon in this entire sting, in this collaboration, seems to be crossing his T's and dotting his I's. So let's listen to this action right here. Let's get the entire feel for it. Let's see what's happening.
You know, this is not a fucking joke, man. I'm just seldom at a loss for words. You know, 2 years ago you were caught kiss my ass in 4K trying to meet a 13-year-old. And really,
I'm not talking to you. He's talking to
really,
you.
my nigga, this is bullshit, man. That y'all pulling right now.
Oh God damn! Did they catch him? Did they catch him again? You can see the look on EDP's face. He's lost a little bit of weight over here, so granted, everything's kind of.
I don't know why the fuck you have to keep asking me in chat if I saw Destiny on the latest Jubilee video. Do you see the fucking stream thumbnail? Do you see the title?
Good, this man really needs to be locked up for life.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. He really does. Like, he's super, super dangerous. Thanks for the donation, Matthew.
At least one thing is going right in his life. Now, in this situation, you can see that he's in front of a DaVita, which is a dialysis clinic, according to my wife, the McDonald's of dialysis clinics. So while he appears to have kidney problems, he definitely does not have a problem with a kid on the knees. But of course, Skeet over here, Skeeter Gene, our friend, asks him the hard-hitting questions, and EDP is a bit defensive, as you can imagine. I'm actually blown away. This is happening again. All right, Jesus Christ, please God, why?
If you could guess, Bryant, why do you think we're here? Could you answer me that, Bryant? Bryant.
Come on.
Don't be like this, Bryant. I just have a few questions. I want to know what this picture is of you with the makeup on. Do you recall this picture, Bryant?
Makeup, why?
Bryant, can you look
Why?
here? I just want to know what this is.
No question. Hope you're doing good.
Well, thanks for the big donation, David Chubby. Appreciate that. I am doing pretty good. My depression seems to be under pretty decent control right now. I'm just doing a lot of training, and the diet is going pretty well. I'm losing weight quickly. Thanks for the donation, David Chubby. Appreciate it. Dodo $90, please react 1025. Oh god.
Step 2. Seriously.
He does not eat the carnivore diet. He is just so full of shit. He eats whatever the fuck he wants.
No vegetables? This is the scariest part of the carnivore diet because you specifically cut out carbs, vegetables, and fruits. I want you right now, even though it seems totally crazy, hopefully you're hooked onto my words, to just consider this.
You're a fucking moron. You know nothing about nutrition, and nobody should take you seriously about any topic.
How much conditioning and brainwashing have you been through to believe that vegetables are absolutely essential and good for you? Your government don't give a fuck about you, do they? You probably agree with that, right? They don't actually care about your health, your testosterone.
Public health is a massive concern for every fucking country. If people aren't healthy, they can't work, they can't pay taxes, they can't support government services, they also can't, again, contribute to the economy and produce GDP. They're not going to have as many kids. And especially for countries that are at risk of engaging in warfare, it's a huge national security risk. The United States is trying whatever they fucking can. There's a reason why there's these big drug companies coming out with weight loss drugs like semaglutide. Because obesity is a huge fucking national security issue. They do not have enough fit, healthy people in the population to actually fill every necessary role in the fucking military. So the idea that a government would have some sort of vested interest in keeping people unhealthy is monumentally fucking retarded. It does not benefit them in any way. Now, corporations, you could maybe argue, are indifferent at best, have an interest at worst, because the healthcare system in the United States is private. You could say they might have an actual interest in keeping people unhealthy. You could say, I don't know, Hershey's Candy Company is at least indifferent. They just want to sell candy. If the result is people get unhealthy, people get unhealthy. But the actual government? Are you fucking retarded? Like you are so stupid. They've actually stepped in and put taxes on candy companies if they sell packages of items of a certain size. They do shit like this to actually try to promote people to eat less junk food. They also try to subsidize healthy foods like vegetables. So what the fuck are you talking about? Oh my god, this guy's so stupid. And again, this isn't about brainwashing or anything. This is about fucking science and evidence. Where the fuck is the science and evidence that vegetables are bad for you, you fuck? Holy crap, this guy's promoting the carnivore diet, if you look at red meat studies, they're not comparing people who eat high amounts of red meat to people who eat like, perfect diets, like, a really healthy whole foods vegan diet. They're comparing people who eat red meat to a shitty standard American diet. So in all of these fucking prospective cohort studies, where the people who eat the most amount of red meat get the highest rates of fucking heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, they die younger, they're eating a shittier diet than the standard American diet. So what you're eating, the bulk of this guy's fucking food right now, if he is actually following the carnivore diet and he's not just making up another fucking lie so he can get some easy views on his shit YouTube channel, if he's eating practically nothing but red meat, you are, according to science, eating a worse fucking diet than the standard American diet, you fucking weak little moron. Holy crap, he just triggers the fuck out of me.
I mean, he's right. Why is this happening again? Why is he not in jail yet?
I don't know. I guess evidence has to be collected against him. Thanks for the donation, Matthew. Jalen donated $2. Turn WWE wrestler Pete Dunne vegan. It's on Hench Herbivore channel. Well, I heard he quit. Okay, so
back into my wrestling career, and I don't have to be in shape. Obviously, I thought that you need meat and dairy to be in that kind of shape. That
like I already know about that. I heard he quit veganism. Thanks for the donation, though, Jalen.
Both these men are obese. They need to start eating healthier.
Well, they're obviously not going to do that, especially EDP. Some people are just fucked and they can't help themselves. Thanks for the donation, Sam.
Maui and Joey being adorable. Hope this makes you happy for 27 seconds.
Let me see. Oh my god. What the hell's going on here?
So doggone cute.
Looks like they're friends.
So absolutely stinking adorable. And you're mine. You're all mine. You're mine. Both of you. I get to have you, hold you, kiss you, love you, hug you, tug on your...
Those are some handsome kitties. Thanks for the donation, Ethan, though. The only path to $2. This guy is pretty creative. Let me see.
Making vegan bone marrow using king oyster mushrooms. They do kind of look like bones. Props to creator Susie the Foodie, who created a non-vegan version of this. This one's 100% vegan.
Why would he say props to Susie, who created a non-vegan version? The fuck?
Digging in a channel with a spoon, olive oil, salt and pepper, and let's put them in the air fryer. Air fried at 350 for 8 minutes with the flip in the middle of the cook, olive oil, onion, minced garlic, the leftover mushrooms, a rich veggie bouillon, and toss in some soaked or boiled cashews. When they cook down, put the mixture in a processor and make it as fine as possible. To make it creamy, add a generous portion of vegan mayo. The bones are cooked, now it's piping time. And the essential blowtorch char. Topped with...
I suspect that would taste nothing like bone marrow. Not that I'd want to eat that anyway. Jesus. Is he just going up to people and... Okay. All right. Wow, that looks like a soft duck. It's a very pretty duck. Bee taking a nap? Didn't know they take naps. It's a nice bee. Thanks for the donation, The Only Path.
Or anything, right? So when they've been sending out the message that you should have 5 pieces of fruit and vegetables every day, and your fat doctor who can't even run 1 mile tells you that fruit and...
Do you think if a doctor or anybody is fat, the bulk of their diet is made up of fruits and vegetables, you fucking moron? Like, please explain to me, if plants are so fattening, why is it that vegans are the only diet group that is, on average, within a healthy body weight range? Please explain that. And you actually see increasing rates of obesity as people eat more and more meat. So, like, again, if fruits and vegetables are so fucking fattening, please explain why vegans are the only diet group that is, on average, at a healthy body weight. Look at raw fruitarians. They eat nothing but fruit. Some also eat raw vegetables. They're skinny as shit. They're fucking emaciated, starving fucks. And you're telling me if you eat fruits and vegetables, it makes you fat. This guy knows nothing about nutrition. The only thing that's going to make you fat is eating too many fucking calories, you moron. So, yeah, if you ate too many fruits and vegetables above your caloric needs, which is incredibly fucking difficult given how voluminous and low in calories fruits and vegetables are, yeah, you could in theory get overweight. But again, if you look at people who eat these sorts of diets, very high in fruits and vegetables, eat mostly, if not all, plant foods, they're almost universally at a healthy body weight. Meat eaters, on the other hand, who eat lots of fucking steak and cheese and shit like that, they're the fat fucks. Jalen Donatillers, you will like this. Let me see. That is a very nice kitty and a very nice cow. Wow. She's friends with the cat. That's nice. It's nice that the cow and the cat are friends. Cows are really sweet. Thanks for the donation, Jalen.
Out these COVID health impacts wild that people minimize its seriousness.
COVID is not ordered something. COVID miss health impacts. What is this shit? 15.4% of adults in the U.S. experience long COVID. Yeah, and long COVID is like exhaustion, shit like that. Let's see. Health risks of repeated SARS-CoV-2 infections. 3 times more likely to be hospitalized. 2 times as likely to die. 3 times as likely to have cardiovascular problems. 3.5 times more likely to develop lung problems. 3 times more likely to experience blood clotting. 1.6 times more likely to experience neurological disorders. It's pretty fucking crazy. I wonder if that has something to do with you likely having to be exposed to like a higher viral load to actually get the infection, because you would have natural immunity. But yeah, if you're more likely, the second time you get infected, might have something to do with that. Reinfection also increases the risk of gastrointestinal problems, kidney problems, musculoskeletal disorders, diabetes, mental health problems, fatigue. Of the 536 long COVID patients recruited for the study, 98% reported experiencing fatigue, 89% experienced shortness of breath, 84% experienced headaches, 50% experienced brain fog, 33% reported an inability to walk. Whoa. Yeah, it's pretty wacky. COVID's dangerous and people just don't fucking take it seriously.
Is Hamza on juice?
No. He wishes he was. Hamza is most certainly, certifiably not on steroids. That is just evident just by looking at him. Thanks for the donation though, Sam.
Vegetable is absolutely key. And unfortunately, your fat, uneducated parents say the exact same thing. And
Yeah, so again, are your parents getting fat eating fucking vegetables, or are they getting fat from eating steak, cheese, butter, fucking ice cream, cake, shit like that? It's the fruits and vegetables, really? I can still eat steak and cheese and cake and ice cream, and I won't get fat? That's good to know.
they, force you to eat the disgusting vegetables when you were young. What if we just took a step back and just...
Apparently he said before, his mom cooked for his family. He also comes from Pakistan, I believe. The idea that this guy wouldn't have, like his mother wouldn't have made, vegetables that weren't prepared in a good way, Americans, they'll just steam vegetables and then serve it plain. And yeah, a lot of kids just won't eat that. He probably had some Pakistani food made for him that had vegetables in it that was good. Let me see. Pakistani vegetable recipes. He probably had shit like this. And then he's saying his mother served him, crappy vegetables? I just don't buy it. And he's from Pakistan, so his mother grew up there. According to him, they lived in a traditional household where his father made all the money, mother took care of the household, cooked, cleaned, shit like that. And I'm supposed to believe that she wouldn't know how to cook at least some of this, which is just traditional, normal fucking cuisine from Pakistan. And she was just serving you plain, bad tasting, steamed broccoli. He's full of shit and lying.
And say, wait, what if we did something different to the 99%? Because usually when you ask that question, when it comes to fitness, when it comes to money making, when it comes to mindset.
So it really just proves that this guy is an idiot. Rather than, using some sort of actual critical thinking skills and saying, I'm going to delve into the research. I'm going to see what the best evidence available suggests when it comes to, vegetable consumption versus meat eating. He just says, everybody says vegetables are good for you. That must mean they're not good for you. You know what? Everybody wipes their ass with toilet paper. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Just take a diarrhea dump on the toilet with shit leaking out of your fucking ass down your leg and just pull your pants up and walk around with a dirty fucking disgusting asshole. Everybody just chooses not to do that, so that must mean it's the right thing to do. Walking around with dirty shit-covered clothing all day.
When it comes to dating, you get amazing results. You do the opposite of what 99% of guys are doing when it comes to dating, and you attract a beautiful feminine woman who actually respects you. You do the opposite of what 99% of guys are doing when it comes to money, and you end up building a business that pays for your lifestyle so you can do literally whatever the fuck you want in your life instead of having to spend all your time in a cubicle like a slave. So going to the opposite lane has served us very well in multiple...
I'm sorry, who the fuck is of the opinion that having a pretty girlfriend or making more money isn't a good thing? I think everybody would fucking agree that's a good thing that they want. It's just that due to circumstances or problems they have, they can't achieve that. So this analogy doesn't make any fucking sense when it comes to vegetable consumption. Nobody says, I want an ugly girlfriend and I want to be poor think everybody agrees having a pretty girlfriend and making money is a good thing that they want.
Multiple areas, so could it do the same with our diets? If 99% of people believe that vegetables are good for us, what if we just considered the fact that they might not be? There is such a thing called plant toxins. No, I'm not a...
This guy's been watching Paul Saladino. Yeah, so there aren't any toxins in plants that are dangerous to humans. There are extremely rare adverse cases where you can find like a grandma who ate like 10 pounds of fucking lettuce in one afternoon, and then she died because there was something in the lettuce that like killed her. But no, there is no fucking toxins in the edible foods we eat that would harm you in any way.
A scientist. I'm just going to explain it to you in like a bro science, like, you know, like dumbass kind of way, just so it's easier to understand. If you want the real science, you can go like, I don't know, read the research papers or something. I'll just explain it to you the way that I see it. Living things don't want to be eaten or killed.
Oh my god. He literally is just copying Paul Saladino. Paul Saladino has no evidence for this claim. If you want to claim that plants have dangerous toxins in them that kill people, then show me the randomized trials, show me the prospective cohort studies that show the more vegetables you eat, or we can include fruits in this. I don't know what he means by vegetable technically. I don't know if he means botanically vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, but whatever thing you define as a vegetable, show me one single prospective cohort, one single randomized trial where people who ate more vegetables died younger or had more adverse events, like they had more heart attacks, more episodes of like cancer. You can't. You see the exact opposite. You see people who eat more vegetables having lower risk of these things. They live longer. They have lower risk of heart disease, lower risk of cancer, lower risk of diabetes. They also have lower blood pressure and are less prone to hypertension. So again, if you're going to claim this, that there's toxins in plants, I don't fucking care if you can look under some sort of special microscope and say, see, if you eat 80 tons of broccoli in one afternoon, you're gonna die because there's this tiny, like, picogram amount of toxin in a fucking broccoli. Show us the data! If it's dangerous, you should be able to show with either randomized trials or prospective cohorts that people who consume more vegetables die younger and have increased disease risk. But we don't see that. You see the exact opposite of that, and you're so stupid you will blindly believe any dumb fucking thing you hear because you think it sounds cool. Yeah, vegetables are icky. I saw a guy on the internet who said vegetables are dangerous. He must be right. I'm gonna eat nothing but the shittiest fucking food on the planet, red meat. I'm a fucking brig-brained. He'd say brig-brained. Fucking asshole. You donated $2.
There are too many damn wizards on my block. Shit is getting annoying for real. Like a nigga can't even walk to the store anymore without a fucking wizard casting a fireball and setting my path ablaze. Like, come the fuck on, dude. Are you for real? This is the shit a nigga gotta deal with now? You're just gonna set my path ablaze? Just like that? All right, dog, I got you. Watch this. I whip out my own spell book. I was a wizard the whole time. And cast Whirlwind to make a fire tornado and then send it right back at his bitch ass. Abracadabra, my dick in your mouth, fuck nigga.
That's good. Jesse Lee Peterson, amazing. Donated $3.
These are the bars you want Rose is chomping on right now.
Oh my god. I hate this guy.
Do we see cane sugar? No.
Cane sugar, bad.
Almond and pecan clusters are on sale. These are nice, sweetened with just a touch of sugar.
Except in almond and pecan clusters.
No matter what type of sugar it is, do not eat it. I don't care if it's cane sugar.
Okay, never mind.
Sunflower, safflower, grapeseed, and canola oil. Run, Forrest, run.
Okay, grapeseed oil, bad.
I'm gonna drizzle in a couple teaspoons of grapeseed oil. Grizzly bear style.
The fuck?
Except in potato pancakes.
Look for no gums, no emulsifiers.
Gums, bad.
I actually like this better than regular cow's milk ricotta. Look at the ingredients, clean as a whistle.
Gums, fine?
Bobby, you say avoid gums and emulsifiers when you can. When you can, I say, and because there's no gluten in here, they need a little bit of gum.
Gums, fine, when he says they are.
I always say read the ingredients first, and it has coconut water, but there's 1 gram of added sugar per serving.
1 gram of added sugar, bad.
How about a gluten-free cereal, but still made with whole grains, like gluten-free oats and sorghum, and only sweetened with 6 grams of sugar?
Oh, fuck this!
Yeah, I hate that guy. He's such a fraud. Piece of shit.
Plants and vegetables, trees and leaves, and they're all living creatures, right? I believe living creatures always have a defense mechanism. The boar that we hunt down.
What a fucking idiot. Yeah, dude. Why don't you grow tomatoes in your backyard and see how many fucking birds and insects and shit eat the fucking tomatoes. They do not have good defense mechanisms against things like insects or birds, generally speaking. And usually when they do, so when plants do have actual defense mechanisms against some of these pests, it's things, they produce things that are actually good for us, like capsaicin. So they'll, like, some plants are extremely spicy, and it's assumed that it's a defense mechanism from some animals that would otherwise eat them, because the animals don't want to have something hot and burn in their mouth. But it turns out to be good for people. So I don't know why the fuck this guy thinks that just because a plant produces some sort of defense chemical, that automatically means it's bad for humans. You wouldn't assume that if they're creating some sort of defense mechanism against insects or birds or something that isn't a fucking mammal. And again, there's a very easy way to solve this problem. Do people die more when they eat more vegetables? No! They live longer! So you're full of shit!
Me and you go out on this hunt, and I pass you over a spear, and we're gonna go hunt down this big fat pig.
Yes, because we all know bacon is so good for you. Yes.
Its defenses, its tusks. The mammoth that we would have taken down with our entire tribe. Big tusks, heavy weights. The saber-toothed tiger. The teeth.
I'm pretty sure none of those fucking animals actually lived in the same time period as one another.
They all have their defense mechanism, and if we can overcome that by killing them before they hurt us, well, then we can enjoy their flesh. But plants don't have tusks. They don't have teeth. But they are still living creatures.
What's the... It's not strawberries, is it? What's the edible plant that actually has thorns on it? Because there are some berries where the plant actually has thorns. Can't fucking remember. So some plants do actually produce thorns, and they're edible plants. Oh yeah, fucking, I know, what is it? I think it's chestnuts? Well, walnuts have a defense. It's called a hard shell. So, yeah, plants literally have physical barriers that they create. I don't, like, again, I don't know what he means by vegetable, if he means in a botanical sense, in a colloquial or cultural sense. But, I mean, like, you also have root vegetables that grow underground, so a lot of animals won't have immediate access to them. It's blackberries. So he just said Do blackberries have thorns? Yeah, they do. So he literally just said animals have tusks to protect themselves. Plants don't. So they have some sort of physical barrier to protect themselves. Well, plants do too. So I don't know why you would assume, like, again, that means plants are bad for you, for one thing. And secondly, yeah, there are plants that do in fact have physical barriers to protect them. Mike Tony Tillers, who's more racist to black people, Tommy Sotomayor or Jesse Lee Peterson? Probably Jesse Lee Peterson. Tommy's more racist to black women in particular, but Jesse, he's more racist to both. Also, what foods are you eating for your diet? It's mostly lettuce and, well, it's so few foods. It's blueberries, lettuce, tofu and or mock meat, and protein powder. Thanks for the donation, Mike.
And so the idea is that plants actually still have a defense mechanism, which is essentially like low levels of toxicity and poison. This is why a lot of children potentially haven't liked eating vegetables, because it doesn't taste very...
Do you think you could feed something like liver to a child and they'd like it? You moron. How many kids don't like fish? I mean, you can find kids that are such picky eaters they won't even eat, like, steak. They either won't like the taste or they won't like the texture of it. Like, what are you talking about? Kids are just picky eaters. And especially when you have a food that is not sweet, has some degree of bitterness, and wasn't prepared in a way that combines it with, like, other spices or seasonings, yeah, a lot of kids aren't going to like it. But, like, again, how many fucking kids would actually have a problem eating shit like this? Like again, he's Pakistani. He's from Pakistan. As if your mother wouldn't have learned how to make food like this. And you're telling me most kids would find that, like, unpalatable? He's just so full of shit. As someone... I'm just reading the first comment here. Someone who was on a strict carnivore diet for almost 6 months, I can say it started out good, but I quickly ran into issues with electrolytes, sex drive crashed, as well as your cortisol will be elevated at all times due to ketosis. Highly suggest looking into people like Paul Saladino. His advice on focusing on animal foods in addition to fruit, honey, raw dairy have significantly improved my health. Oh my god, these people are fucking cancerous. If vegetables are so bad for you, then show me randomized trials or prospective cohorts where the highest vegetable consumers were more likely to face early mortality or get sick. You can't. And that's because vegetables are good for you. If you disagree with me, then how about you debate me live on my YouTube channel? You'll never do that because...
Can we just fucking watch the Jubilee clip instead of listening to this raging fucking
lies.
retard and hearing your soy rage responses? Fucking Christ. Holy
Shut
shit.
up.
Fucking hell.
I'm just gonna skip that. Thanks for the nation. I'm Negra.
Like, what in the actual fuck is this? Bryant?
This is such an outlandish scenario that I'm blown away that EDP has been caught allegedly doing this same heinous act once again. You think you would learn after the one is hilarious. It was literally posting today. We live in a day and age where little skank ass hoes can go around here purposely trying to set homies up. Bitch, get a life and get off the internet. You need to get off the internet if this is true. You need to get some help. But at this point...
This guy literally tried to prey on children, and he's mad at everyone else because they found out about it. It'll be so great when he actually gets arrested for this shit, because a judge will have no sympathy with him posting crap like this online.
If you've allegedly been caught and stung twice, I think EDP needs to be at
This isn't twice. I think this happened 3 or 4 times now, because other people catfished him, and he was sending messages back and forth thinking he was talking to like another 12-year-old.
Needs to spend the rest of his days in a prison cell. Because he has proven himself, if this is all true, again, true and honest, that he is a danger to underage people, undercooked cupcakes worldwide, a danger to himself, and honestly, he should just be stopped. Okay, law enforcement has to get. EDP might actually.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. All right, let's take a look at this.
This is the 112th episode of Middle Ground, and we want you to help us decide what the next 112 episodes will be. Join our Middle Ground Patreon community and make...
I think I'm a rarity here.
Have way more advantages. I was chosen to read the following prompt. White Americans have way more advantages than Black Americans.
I think I'm a rarity here.
It would seem so.
Do white Americans have more advantages because they're white, or do just white Americans have advantages because of historic factors? I think that people want to argue at the end of the day over whether it's because you're white or not. I think that the answer is because you're white in the past, and that's how it kind of carries over to today. You know, even in times of the United States history where black people tried to build wealth, you know, with the Tulsa riots and everything, where, this wealth has been destroyed. And something that's upsetting to me is when conservatives talk about how we can't blame the past for what's happening in the present. That is true to some extent, but then the next breath they'll talk about how important it is to have dual parent households, how important it is to have a strong family, to have responsibility passed on from parent to child. And we've seen in the past that because of racial issues, that process has been severely disrupted.
The funny thing is that agreeing with all these things is when I did my research when I was younger, which arrived me to my standpoint of being a conservative, because I believed it was racist, Democrat, liberal ideologies and policies dating all the way back to the 1800s, all the way up to the 1960s, and then the purported big switch. But I think it was more so when Democrats decided to be a bit more cloak and dagger about their true opinions of black people and be more secretive and more, we want to help you by doing these things and seeing them as inferior.
Doing what things?
Affirmative action, welfare, all sorts of things.
Oh my god, there's literally no evidence that affirmative action or welfare hurt black people. Yeah, getting more black people into school and also preventing like horrible abject poverty and homelessness, that hurt black people. Yeah, there really should be less black people going to school and more black people homeless to help the black community. Dude, fucking conservatives. You know why?
Does Hamza know that plants lack a CNS? Does Destiny have a white savior complex?
Hamza does not know anything about anything, so he would not know. If you ever ask me, does Hamza know about this? The answer is no, because he's stupid. He's one of the most remarkably ignorant people you will ever come across. Does Destiny have a white savior complex? No. He's not even technically white. He's like half Cuban. Thanks for the donation though, Sam. Yeah, so the reason why you see the stupid shit in the conservative community where they'll say things like, oh, welfares hurt people affirmative action's hurting people, crap like that. Oh, all these social services, they're taking away your rights. They're saying that because conservatives used the help of corporations that were using psychotherapists to actually help to market to people. So conservatives were the first ones to do this. So if you want people to adopt an idea that, welfare is actually hurting the economy, it's hurting you, it's not actually even helping poor people because it makes them lazy, what you tell them is, you're not able to live as an individual, and you're being forced to give money to the government for somebody who doesn't want to work, and then they're living off like government interests, and they use these psychological tactics to basically think that these social programs are taking away your freedom of expression and individuality, and making it seem as though, if we get rid of these social programs, you're going to be able to empower yourself more. You're going to be able to live as an individual more. And that's where this like stupid conservative talking points come from. It's literally conservative politicians who used psychotherapists, the same psychotherapists that were helping corporations market products to make the most successful political campaigns possible to get elected. And it works. Dumbasses fall for this and think that by allowing for these progressive policies where we use, tax dollars to, help people, it's somehow hurting them when it's not.
That eventually ruin our culture and place us where we are now.
So
but I want to get back to the history of it, because we're talking about...
Well, I just want to make sure we're clear. Giving them money hurt them, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, giving them, because if your father's out of the home, that's when we give you the money. If you're living in this housing...
so then give them the money while the dad's in...
That's not true. So, multi-parent households can apply for welfare. It's just that if there's... if you have a certain income threshold, you're not going to be able to apply for welfare. So with two parents in the home, probably somebody is going to have a job and make money. If neither of you are working, then yeah, you could probably apply for welfare. If one person in the house is working, one person isn't, there are other social benefits that you can collect. It's just not going to be welfare. So if you have like a spouse that has a disability, you can actually get a lot of money back from the government, and you also have to pay like less taxes and shit. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And yeah, if there's no father in the home, or if there's no mother in the home and there's only one income earner, you're more likely to be able to get social services like welfare, because there's only one person who could possibly make money. And if there's certain circumstances where somebody has to be home at all times because there's like multiple kids or something, then it makes sense to give that person welfare. Like, again, is the alternative better where people are living in abject, horrible poverty and end up being homeless? Kid Boo, don't need $2. Holy shit, Fuentes spitting facts.
I think a lot of young people today, they think about money, but the economy in America it's not really about money. Money represents value, and value is, of course, how we measure wealth. And wealth is something that is created when we work, when we make things. You know, people are Googling, like, how do I start a business? What they really are looking for is, how do I make money without leaving my bed or putting my phone down? And they're eager to get money to buy things, but they're not eager to do the things that create value that the money represents. There was an interesting study that came out this year comparing like what's going on in the Ukraine war, comparing America to Russia. And it talked about how we have no productive sector. We don't make anything. Our industry, our agriculture, our manufacturing, construction, it's 15% of our economy. The rest is services.
I have a lot to say about that.
People are
so,
Googling.
First of all, services are valuable. I don't know how services have no value. Secondly, this idea of making easy money. So a lot of people are getting into investing. If you're investing, that money is being used to, produce something for a company. And then once the company has a higher value, you get returns on your investment, and then you make money off that money. But like, if you're trying to find like easy ways to make money, like investing or cryptocurrency or something, crypto, you could argue a lot of its value is based on speculation, but this easy money kind of thing, it's easy for you to make money because you're sitting back and basically doing nothing, essentially. But that money is being used to actually forward some kind of business or some sort of product. This is also a guy who's made a living on social media. And now it's like purely through donations. He does not have a job. People give him money. Kind of like me. But yeah, for him to say that, it's like especially weird.
The young blood does make some legitimate points. For example, my maternal step-grandfather was an entrepreneur, and he also worked as a porter on the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad.
Well, a porter is technically a service. So, like, it's a service in support of building something, but one of the other big reasons why there aren't many manufacturing jobs in the United States is, one, because of the US's terrible immigration laws. There's definitive evidence now that preventing immigration actually ensures that more of these manufacturing jobs will move overseas. And two, the horrible, horrible lack of a public transportation infrastructure. So if you have a robust public transportation infrastructure, you're going to have pretty much by nature, domestic manufacturing. So, because the U.S. doesn't have that, that also gets rid of a lot of manufacturing jobs too. But thanks for the donation, Sam. Appreciate it.
Rent-free.
Well, then give them the money while the dad's in the home.
If you're working
So
this
give
amount of
them the-
hours and getting less than this amount of
You're
dollars,
throwing-
you're getting money
you're
from the
throwing
government.
the
Yes,
baby-
it is
you're
incentivizing.
throwing the baby out with the
it is-
bathwater.
I don't even know what that means in this scenario because yes,
You're
okay, you
throwing
want to talk about throwing babies
Okay,
out with
let
the
me break this
bathwater?
down for
Margaret
you.
Sanger wanted to
How does he not know that term? It just means you're throwing out everything, even what's valuable, for no reason.
exterminate the black race because she thought they were weeds. So yeah, we can literally
What the fuck does that have to do with welfare?
talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's what Margaret Sanger, that's what Democrat policies wanted to do to my people. So that's why I feel so strongly about it, because it is these policies that date back centuries that were built.
Like, I don't even understand if he's going to talk about, politicians that existed like decades or even like over 100 fucking years ago in the 1800s. Yeah, the Democratic Party was the most racist party at the time. They were all Southerners. They're not anymore. And if we're going to talk about major party members being racist, there are fucking Republican senators that were KKK members. There are Republican politicians who openly spoke about how their policies are trying to directly harm black people and prevent them from voting. Why doesn't that fucking disturb you and make you not want to be conservative?
Off of the death and poverty of my people.
Let's take a breath.
Sure. I'm breathing.
Okay.
So a lot of babies aren't, but I am, sadly.
I don't know what that means. When I say throw the baby out with the bathwater, you want to completely get rid of welfare, okay? Or at least I don't want to put that on you, you haven't said that, but the conservative apparatus does, clearly. So giving money to a group of people.
Like, by the way, I don't even understand, if you're paying so much taxes, wouldn't you want there to be a social safety net for you? Like, if you pay taxes year after year after year, and then you get into financial hardship, wouldn't you want social services? Like, most people are living paycheck to paycheck. So, most people are only 1 or 2 paychecks away from homelessness. So why the fuck wouldn't you want something like welfare? It is just so baffling to me.
Does not hurt them.
I mean,
It
sure, if
can't.
you're talking about a lottery,
It
just, hey,
literally
take
can't.
money. But
Yes.
there are strings
Take money.
attached to that money.
Take all the
there
money.
are strings attached
Give
to
them
that money.
millions. Make them all millionaires. I don't care. Giving money to black people does not hurt.
So there are some people who will choose like not to work because like the welfare money they're making is enough to support the lifestyle that they're comfortable with. But I mean, that's a rarity. Most people, if they're able to, will start working once they're actually able to, and like welfare checks are usually shitty. You don't get much money from it. So most people are not comfortable with the amount of money they get from things like welfare. There's obviously an incentive to go back to work, and like I mean, it's going to be such a weird flip-flop too. We all know UBI is coming. Most jobs are going to be replaced by AI and machines. So you're going to get rid of welfare because nobody should fucking be getting free handouts. But then all the fucking jobs are going to be gone. And guess what? Productivity is going to be through the roof, but nobody's working. You're going to have to compensate for that by giving out free money. Oh, I guess UBI now. I just don't see the point knowing where things are going.
Hurt them.
And that has not happened.
And I mean, by the way, you can do the math. There literally are not enough jobs for everybody. Literally, it's mathematically provable that there are not enough jobs for everybody to actually work and make money. Knowing that, why would you, like, again, why would you be against welfare?
Happened though. That has not happened.
What do you mean?
That has not happened.
No.
It hasn't been a
You're
reparations.
saying
It hasn't been this
so
or that.
what
It has
you're
been
saying,
No, I'm not a socialist. Nothing I said had anything to do with fucking socialism.
Welfare program,
Welfare
Great
was
Societies
designed.
Act, that
Welfare
was built
was-
off of the idea of, hey, we get these families split up, we get these
So
people
then let
living
them
here.
keep the family together and keep all the money.
I mean,
There you
I
go.
guess
Boom,
so,
done.
but I guarantee you,
I guess
there is
so.
no way that
Why
would
would you
happen.
not advocate for that?
So in your, I guess, research of like history of this country and everything, do you find like the Reconstruction era and like the failures of like what it wanted to be and then what it ended up being, and then which led into, had downstream effects to enter into the Jim Crow era, and you have policies like redlining that influence how schools are funded. The downstream effects of slavery, do you think put black people as generally in a worse off position than white Americans?
I think generation by generation, the effects of slavery have been diluted, but generation by generation, the effects of racism, welfare-based policies, and things of that nature became even more great. So in the
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, welfare, preventing homelessness and abject poverty. That's what is really harming the black community. What a fucking idiot.
1880s or so, when we had our first black members of Congress, which were indeed Republicans, I think that was a great start for things. But obviously we had terrible things that happened, like the Tulsa massacre, among black people being chased out of their homes by the KKK.
Sure.
All funded by the Democrat Party, all supported by the Democrat Party.
Well, I need to stop you there. Can you attribute not to the party but to the ideology? Because I think when you think, regardless of whatever the party switch was, traditionally conservative values did not, like, that's more aligned with more racist policies
It's
in this
very
country.
difficult
Like
to
very
compare 2020's conservatism to 1880's conservatism. Oh, I was loving the 1v4.
So personally, I feel like there's really only one thing that white people have a true advantage over black people with, and it's that white people are less likely to be forced into a box. It happens with black people onto other black people, but it especially happens with white liberals onto black conservatives, where we are told that we are supposed to think a certain way, be a certain way, and if we're not, then we're called all these names like etc. And the worst of all is bootlicker, because I hate when a white liberal tells me as a black man that I'm a bootlicker, because then I ask, whose boot am I licking? Because you're telling me
he's probably pro-police. Yeah, if you're pro-police, you're a fucking bootlicker.
As a white person, that me as a black person, that I'm licking your boot because I don't think in this box that you want me to frame my mentality in, that to me is real racism.
Yeah, so he really needs to put this into context, because usually, so the term bootlicker isn't even a, like, pejorative racist term. Uncle Tom is, but bootlicker isn't. Like, I've called people bootlickers for loving the police and, like, defending them even when they clearly did something wrong. He's probably getting called a bootlicker in that sort of context.
And that's what we need to stop allowing to happen to us, because black people are so quick now to not branch out and to have new ways of thinking, or to go into careers like agriculture and these other career paths that black people don't typically get into. It's not because of racism stopping them from getting in there. It's because we're told for so long that you have to follow this path and you have to think a certain way.
I think America is a great place for a black person. I think I'm an American. Anything that's available to you is available to me and mine.
I've personally never experienced white people having way more privileges than me. Like, I'm sure you could.
Well, she is...
I see you changed it over to the Jubilee video. Yeah, that's what I thought, Sneed. You better remember who runs this motherfucking business and who butters your bread, you piece of wheat toast. I am your marketing director, Richard. I make the decisions. Smile.
Alright, well, thank you for telling me that. Appreciate the donation, I'm Niagara. So, she is very light-skinned and has a lot of Caucasian features. You would expect somebody like that to not be... And you actually see it, too. There's studies on... what's the dumbass term that's gotten fucked up? Critical race theory? If you actually look at studies on critical race theory, so the intersection between race and the legal system, very dark-skinned black people get treated the worst. Lighter-skinned black people get treated better, and white people obviously get treated better than that. So yeah, the way people are gonna treat you is gonna be more comparable to a white person than a black person. So yeah, just based on how she looks,
What's primary water?
Primary water.
So a lot of people were asking me for examples of primary water.
Wait, what?
Because they were never taught it.
Primary water, right.
The reason being is our educational system was taken.
I don't want to watch that video because it's obnoxious and stupid. Thanks for the donation, dude. Dodo Donate Tellers, can you react? Have you ever tried semen retention? This guy is a troll. It's not really worth watching. It even says so in his channel bio. I always retain semen because I have a vasectomy, so I didn't notice a difference. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
Could find certain institutions where black people are treated differently, but in general, I don't think that I've missed out on anything because of being black. And if anything, it's given me more of a voice because people will want to hear what I say now because I'm black. So if anything, I have more of a platform now just on the basis of being a black conservative.
That's only because there's more of a cultural interest in treating black people fairly
And saying what's not popular than I would if I was just a white person who was also conservative.
I agree with the Supreme Court's decision to end.
The Supreme Court's decision to end affirmative action was retarded. If you actually look at their reasoning, They didn't understand what affirmative action even really was.
And affirmative action.
I think
Oh yeah, and that fucking dipshit fucking judge, Clarence Thomas, one of the most corrupt Supreme Court judges ever. He was literally gaslighting people and claiming he doesn't even know what racism is. He's just so full of shit.
I'm not gonna start. Someone else can start. Sorry.
I think affirmative action has served its purpose. I think that it was necessary for a particular time, and I think that every black person knows how
Oh, Stevens against affirmative action?
to get
Weird.
into college. Every black, I mean, you could pull out the names, the Oprah, President Obama. You can pull out the head of Time Warner was black man, the Forbes was black man. We know what to do now. We don't need affirmative action anymore. And to me, affirmative action is offensive sometimes, especially nowadays, because
even the universities wanted to keep it, and there's a reason for that. The testing they do right now, they know there's a racial and cultural bias where what's the stupid thing they do in the United States? The fucking college entrance exam thing. They know those tests have a racial and cultural bias. So white kids are far more likely to get tutoring to do these SATs. The SAT prep, they're more likely to do those SAT prep courses. They're also just more likely to go to better schools in general, crap like that. And they've researched this, and they know those, like the SATs and those college entrance exam tests, they don't really tell you whether or not a student has a better aptitude. So that's why they wanted to keep affirmative action, because they knew the SATs, along with affirmative action, was the most fair way to deal with college entrance.
Dude, how the fuck is Frank still running his shitty business and not having it fail yet? I mean, it's literally running out some dirty warehouse and his products are overpriced. How long do you think until his business fails? Wasn't he stopped by the USDA?
If I had to guess, it won't be too long, because if you take a look at his online shop, he's selling more and more things that he doesn't make. So it's like products from other companies. So it's like prepackaged fish and shit. There's a lot of supplements and shit that he's selling too that aren't from him. So what I'm assuming is happening, people aren't buying this stupid overpriced garbage that he's selling. And he's hoping that if he diversifies the amount of crap he's selling, and sells some cheaper items, he's going to get more sales. So I don't think the sales of the shit that he's actually producing are going so well, if I had to guess. And he's also constantly talking about how he's going insane and how he hates running this business and all this. So he's probably in debt, and the only way he really knows how to deal with the debt is to keep doing this, business, because he doesn't make enough money from YouTube and crap. If he was really making bank and sales were going well and shit, he probably wouldn't be talking about how he hates his life and everything sucks. He'd probably be saying, sweet, business is going great, love you all, this and that, but you're hearing the exact opposite. He's just complaining constantly. Thanks for the donation, though, Trank Fufano.
I have 6 children, and 2 boys, 4 girls, and all of them went to Harvard. And
let's see, Gurmit the Gay Frog. Have you ever heard of people at grocery stores shaming customers who have/use EBT cards? EBT card holders usually catch a lot of crap from clerks and other customers for even having them at all, or using them to buy sugary snacks. What are EBT cards? I've never even heard of that. Oh, it's like, it's like a nutritional assistance program thing. It's probably because people are judgmental fucks or something. I don't know. Thanks for the donation, though, Gurmit.
In Colombia, and this one and that one, and it breaks my heart to think that they accomplished that goal of getting into these institutions just because of the color of their skin.
I can definitely say that it creates a lot.
Who the fuck cares? That's one of the dumbest arguments I could have, that you could possibly ever have. The only thing you should be concerned with is if you have an interest in actually going to university, getting into the university and graduating. Who the fuck cares if you were chosen for that position because you're black? That does not affect you in any fucking way. So that's one of the stupidest fucking arguments imaginable against affirmative action.
A lot of tension when you have affirmative action. I remember my first week at the University of Illinois, I was sitting with some classmates and a white student turned to me and jokingly like, hey Xavier, did you just attach a smiley face when you applied for this college? And I started asking what he meant, and he said to me that he was like, you're black, I'm assuming you had decent grades, you could have just attached a smiley face and you would have gotten into the university. So I was livid by that, and I went off, I started naming all of my accomplishments, and I felt so confident, only for about an hour, because then an hour later,
Roses are red, violets are blue. Richard gets angry and it's funny too. To soy or not to soy? Richard's name is Sneed. Richard's name is Sneed. Richard's name is Sneed. LLLLLLLLL.
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate the donation. I am Negra. Same shit again. Their only argument against affirmative action is, but if I got into university and I found out that I only got in because I'm black, that would make me sad. You're in the university. And if you graduate, again, presumably if you have, if you're taking courses that are worth shit, you're going to have better career opportunities. Who the fuck cares why you got in? If you're smart enough to graduate, that's the only thing you should be concerned with.
Later, I started saying to myself, wow, did I actually earn my way in here? I started to have this insecurity, and I started wondering to myself, did I earn this position myself, or
So
did my
dumb,
ancestors?
dude.
My BF's mother is an anti-vegan animal activist. She keeps telling me she does animal activism but says veganism is unsustainable, keeps cooking greasy bland mushrooms then blaming vegans for being a bad cook. Why non-vegans shouldn't be animal activists?
You should tell your boyfriend's mother that she's a dumb bitch and her cooking sucks and she should stop chewing her food. Thanks for the donation, Tamar Braxton. So, have any of you ever been in a situation, especially the black people in chat, where you see the sexy ass fucking girl, smoking hot, 10 out of 10, beautiful ass, just everything banging. You go up and talk to her, things are going well, you get her number, and then, you go on a date, and then she suggests that you go up into her apartment, you start fucking right away, have the most hot dick-pounding, ball-slappy sex you've ever had. She swallows all the fucking cum. And then you think, wait, did she just go on a date with me and give me this amazing sex because she likes me? Or because I'm black and she has black fetish? She has jungle fever. Oh God, if she has jungle fever and is just really into black people, man, did I really accomplish anything? Was this really awesome sex worthwhile if she's only into black people? It's just, why the fuck does it matter if you got into university because you're black? Again, If you're able to graduate, if you're able to pound that pussy, who the fuck cares?
Is it possible for you to not constantly scream?
Yeah, okay.
Ugh. Ancestors suffering earned this for me.
And two, I've seen it in the sense of like affirmative action taking away from other people who are minorities. Like I had a friend who was Asian and he in high school and he really wanted to go to MIT. That was his dream school. He interned there. He was super like prepared.
This is another myth, that certain universities are better than others. They're not. They all have to abide by the same educational standards. So the only inconvenience that would, you know, really befall you if you couldn't get into Harvard or MIT would be if that just happens to be a closer school. That's it. Affirmative action does not prevent you from getting into a university. It might prevent you from getting into certain universities, but it doesn't prevent you from getting into a university. That is just an absolute bullshit myth.
To go there and he didn't get in, and you can only assume that it was because of affirmative action because they have such a large Asian population that they want to admit.
Yeah, right. So, he would be able to go to practically any other fucking university, get the same level of education. Like, these people who are against affirmative action making this argument, they make it seem as though, oh, if you're Asian, you can't get an education. Like, you literally cannot get any education past high school because you have to get, like, 100% perfect on everything. Like, perfect grades. That's not what happens. Total misrepresentation.
Other people.
Yeah, I was going to actually argue that it's more racist nowadays because it excludes so many Asian Americans from getting into universities who do deserve a spot and they can't get in because of affirmative action, which, again, like you were saying, was necessary at the time.
Yeah.
Asians can get into university just fine. It just may not be their first choice.
But now it's like anybody, if you have the skills to do it and you're in America, you can get in.
I don't think affirmative action is the worst thing, considering all the different types or aspects of a background you might take into account when somebody's getting into college, whether they were in certain clubs.
Let me see if Destiny's streaming right now. Usually it pops up. I don't think it's streaming. No. I'll talk to him about that. Talk to him about that later. Why does, like, other people's channels show up first? That's weird. Some good new muscle mommy shots here. Working with first photo book. Interesting.
Clubs, you know, Boy Scouts, what type of classes they took, that might not be available to everybody. I don't think that factoring in the affirmative action is necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like because of everything you guys have said, the optics behind it are so horrible today that even if it is slightly beneficial in the long run for certain people, I think we can probably refocus most of that into figuring out like the class that people come from, the neighborhoods, the backgrounds or whatever, without it having to necessarily target race. The only thing that I kind of
They do that already. That's just misinformation. They do factor in race, what school you went to, what neighborhood you're in, your parents' income. They factor in all those things. So it's not just race. Again, like, all these people who are against affirmative action don't know how it fucking works.
Kind of wonder now that it's gone is instead of a black person being in school thinking like, man, am I here because I'm an affirmative action pick? Is it going to be a kid that is poor or a kid that's from a different zip code?
I think we should do away with all of it. It's just like submit an application, no demographics. Why do they ask your sexuality? Like, why do they ask all that stuff?
Again, they, like, why is the assumption that I know how to select college applicants better than the people whose job it is to accept college applicants? There's a reason they do this, and it's because they figured out this is the best way to accept college applicants. Like, they probably know
So,
something you don't.
If affirmative action accomplished its purpose, why do we still see the disparities that we do in the professional workplace? If you average white wealth and compare it to black wealth totals, white people as a whole have about 50 times greater wealth than black people as a whole.
Yeah, I'll do posing vid after I'm done dieting. I don't know if I'm gonna get like dick skin shredded or anything, but I do want to have like visible abs, at least that lean. Like the cut's going well so far, but I know once I get to a lower body fat, it'll probably be a fair bit more difficult. So we'll see when I get there. But yeah, I'll probably do a posing video once I'm done.
Per capita. So I just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose. I don't see
Curious. Why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
What else would it be from?
I mean,
upbringing, economic abilities,
Desire to
skills.
go.
There's clearly a racial component to this. You wouldn't see these demographics if there wasn't.
Desire to.
I mean,
So
zip
it was
code
their
does
fault
play a
then.
lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school, which means you're.
Why did they grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma?
I mean, lots of people do.
Yes,
live in
but
a-
why specifically do more black people?
Like, the answer's
Government
obvious.
assistance programs.
I love the look on this guy's face. He's like, oh my god, I'm surrounded by idiots, but I can't say shit because they're black.
Government assistance programs, like what?
Try redlining.
Stop yelling at the screen. Jasmine chucked you lol7777777. Christy, please unblock me.
Okay, I'll try to do that. Thanks for the nation, Elmo.
I mean, you can go into that if you'd like to, but let's
It
take a
is
look
relevant.
at the Great Societies Act, which was created to kick black fathers out of the home and get black mothers on welfare assistance. These things aren't beneficial for economics. These things aren't beneficial for actually paving a way for success for black children and black families. I mean, reducing a two-family household to a one-family household isn't going to make them the richest man in the world. It isn't even going to get them out of high school. Nonetheless,
You mean
the ability
parent.
to even get to college.
You mean
Yeah,
two-parent?
the child, yes, but a two-parent household.
Yeah.
You see vastly different rates of college graduation rates between single versus two-parent households. So I don't know how we could claim that.
In comparison to a one-parent household, that child is not going to be nearly as successful. That child is more disposed to being sent into prison by doing crimes or not doing very well in school. So how are they even supposed to get that, that wealth disparity shrunk if they aren't even able to get out of the community that is causing these problems for them?
Something I think that this conversation illustrates is that like affirmative action is literally the very end of the line of a lot of different parts of a person's life. And by that point, trying to rectify all of the inequities that have existed, to try to remedy any of that at the very end with affirmative action, it might just be too broad a brush, and maybe
This isn't an argument. Yeah, there's probably bigger issues that need to be solved aside from affirmative action, but that's not a justification to get rid of it.
we'd be better served focusing on the earlier issues than trying to throw a kid who maybe can barely read at a 6th grade level into a college to hope that that's the thing that fixes the problem at the end of the line.
I think affirmative action wasn't really supposed to send kids to Harvard that weren't prepared to go to Harvard. I think that's quite a myth, in fact. I think those that have the qualities to get to Harvard were, before affirmative action, could just completely overlooked. Clarence Thomas is the perfect example, regardless of what you think about him.
Yeah, didn't Clarence Thomas get accepted into university because of affirmative action? I'm pretty sure Clarence Thomas actually benefited from affirmative action. Clarence Thomas is also a racist wacko who's comparable to Uncle Ruckus. Unironically, he's literally Uncle Ruckus. He's also one of the most pseudo-intellectual dipshits you'll ever see. Pretty sure he's a COVID denier. I absolutely know for sure he's a climate change denier as well. Whenever you see supposed intellectuals taking these sorts of positions, it really shows that their fundamental way of researching and disseminating good versus bad information is just flawed.
He was able to get to Harvard because of affirmative action, because it focused on finding people that were, again, like just overlooked for those.
But things
Okay. Richard asks why it matters if you got into uni just because you're black. The answer is because everyone around you knows it. Okay, so if you're fucking some like beautiful, amazing, hot ass babe, and everyone knows the only reason she's into you is because you're black, do you care? When people say this shit to me that like they're somehow personally defeated because they got into uni because they're black, it's like, it's retarded. Either you're full of shit and you're just supporting this idea because of like ideological reasons, or you're a moron. Why the fuck would you care if you have an advantage over somebody else because of your race? Like, assuming you're not sympathetic to the idea that you maybe made somebody else not get into school because of that. It's just stupid. I wouldn't care if I was banging some super fucking hot chick for no other reason because I'm black. I wouldn't care if I was like an NBA basketball player for no other reason because I'm black. I wouldn't care if I got into a certain school because I'm black. I wouldn't fucking care if I like got on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and made millions of dollars because I'm black. If I'm benefiting from it, why the fuck would you care? It's just stupid.
Ended up changing. It morphed into something else. So what started out as a good program of giving all black people or people with a lesser chance.
Dude, people do make that argument that Asians cannot get into university or college because they're Asian and because of affirmative action. The way they present the argument suggests that. Affirmative action does not prevent anybody from going to university. You're not kicking Asians out to let black people in. It just means they may have to go to a different school. That's it. You never ever see anybody when they bring up the issue with Asian enrollment that they could just go to some other fucking school. Oh, you can't go to Harvard? Okay, go to the fucking next best school. Oh, like as if your life is over because you can't go to Harvard and you just have to go to some other school. And again, universities have to abide by the same educational standards. You are not getting a worse quality of education by going to a different school. You might not be able to join the sailing club at Harvard, but as far as what you're actually going to school for, it makes no difference.
Or less opportunity. It started out as that, and then it morphed and I'm not sure who morphed it, but it morphed into, okay, so now we have to have one black, one Hispanic, one this, one that.
That's not how that works.
But hey, talk to the corporations, talk to the people who hire, talk to the board members who say we need to have a woman on the board, we need to have a black on the board, we need to have a Latina, a Latinx, whatever on the board. So it more.
It is not a bad thing to have an interest to have a diverse workforce. Why is that a bad thing? If you actually look at the most successful companies, they actually tend to have more diversity. You just have more people from different backgrounds with a more diverse skill set and a more diverse way of thinking that can actually benefit the company. When you're talking about things like school boards and shit and staff, same thing would likely apply.
Morphed from helping us into now
tokenization.
Yes, so you have to have one of this, one of that.
Well, when you start with a country where people only hire you if you're white, that's necessary. And I know that you said that it started good and then ended whatever. And I don't think that affirmative action was perfect by any measure, but we still see really, really bad inequality. So if you're going to get rid of affirmative action, what's the replacement?
Meritocracy.
There's no meritocracy in this country. You look at Elon Musk, he's destroying Twitter. There's no meritocracy. That's ridiculous.
Well, first thing I want to bounce back to is it's not a myth that there are like minorities that are being put into colleges that they're not ready for. If you look at a lot of these top universities, including Harvard, Yale, etc.,
it doesn't matter. Okay, I have two things to say here. First of all, he's promoting this myth that there's an educational difference between Harvard and any other university. There isn't. They have to abide by the same educational standards. Harvard is no more difficult than some other local university that you might have access to. It's going to be just as hard to graduate. And again, you're not kicking anybody out of a college or opportunity to go to university because of affirmative action. So the net effect is, if you're too dumb to graduate, you're too dumb to graduate. If somebody else is smarter than you, they'll still be able to go to university. Doesn't make a fucking difference. They keep promoting these myths about affirmative action.
You're going to see a lot of minorities on academic probation because they are being placed in universities that they are not ready for. They are not cut out for that just yet. And it even just makes sense if you look at how much...
By the way, another fucking funny component to this is black people fucking dominate sports. Look at a fucking college basketball team or college football team. Like, you have so many... you have a disproportionate amount of black students on these sports teams. You're gonna find more fucking black students on economic probation due to them being involved in these extremely rigorous and demanding sports where they're gonna have to miss classes and shit. They're not gonna have as much time to study. That's another component. Obviously, it's not the norm, but that's another aspect of that. Get a vegan neck tattoo donating to others. Can you name the trait present in non-vegan humans that if present in predatory animals would justify saving by CPR if either experienced a heart attack? What? I think you're trying to ask if I would be willing to save a non-vegan. No. I don't think there is a trait. I'd be interested in killing off non-vegans. That's why I'm not an organ donor. Even though I ride a motorcycle and shit, I deliberately checked off when I got my driver's license that I didn't want to be an organ donor, because if I were to die and donate my organs, in all likelihood, it would go to a meat eater who's just going to get top quality, grade A kidneys or liver or some shit from, a fucking, genetically perfect fucking being like myself. And then they're just going to live a longer life eating meat. So, yeah, no. I'm totally in favor of killing meat eaters if they refuse to go vegan, for the same reason I'd be in favor of killing predatory animals. Thanks for the donation. Get a vegan neck tattoo. Appreciate it.
You have to achieve in order to get there. Asian students on average have to score 450 points higher than a black student in order to get in the same university. So if you think of the universities that have courses, except
yes, to get into the same university, they don't have to go to that same university. Oh, this is so brutal. It's weird that he said that too. He said the same university. It suggests to me that he's being deliberately dishonest when he's talking about this issue with affirmative action, because he hasn't admitted that there's the caveat that they can still get into university just fine. It just may not be the same university. So it's weird that he used that exact wording. It sounds like he knows exactly what he's doing.
that grade on a curve, you can only have so many people with an A, so many people with a B, etc. So that means that the bottom percentile is going to fail. Who is most likely, just based on logic, going to be the ones failing? It's going to be the people who didn't have the credentials to get there in the first place. And then I have to bounce back to.
I want to get you on that point, because I would posit that the people who are least likely to have good outcomes in an academic setting are those who have to work 2 jobs, are those who have to drive there from home because they can't afford a dorm, are those who have to go into crippling financial debt.
Yeah.
These are and have other stresses in their life. They can't afford a doctor, they can't afford a dentist, they can't afford anything.
I had to do
so
that too, though.
Those are the
That's
people.
not just black people. It's not just.
But it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelmingly, like, you're far more likely to be in that camp if you're from a certain racial minority.
Straight numbers, there are more white people in poverty than black people.
If you look at the raw
Oh my God, there are more white people in poverty. Yeah, that's because white people are a higher proportion of the American demographic.
Numbers, but if you actually understand what you're talking about.
No
The issue is poverty in general, though. I don't think it's like who's in poverty. It's like poverty sucks.
universities take that into account. They don't just look at race. Again, they just keep promoting misinformation about
Maybe
this.
we should make college free and make.
Fine, you're not an organ donor, but what about that delicious feces left inside you? Who gets that? Can I call dibs? If you let that delicious shit go to waste, I swear I'll dig you up and suck it straight from your rectum. The thought is making me hard.
Sure. I'll make sure I leave that in my will, that you can eat my turds from my dead rotting corpse, once I die. Thanks for the donation, Microwave Poop.
I seen your comment on my recent video. Sure, I am down for this debate.
I'm sure that's the real Hamza. Let me see. Wonder if anybody responded to it.
Doesn't.
Not a single other diet has produced benefits carnivore has shown. What a fucking moron. The only study that has ever been conducted on the carnivore diet came from Harvard, which showed all participants that were on the diet were rapidly developing heart disease as shown by their coronary artery calcium scores. Other than that, the closest... Well, actually, I won't go into fucking detail for this moron. You will actually literally coom so hard, that's how good it tastes. Please eat some yogurt, cheese milk. Is that somebody from chat who's just fucking with me? Whatever. Check back in that.
Maybe we want to have
If you have a
Furban actually
program-
wouldn't be that necessary.
It'll get even more ghetto.
If you have a program that says if you are under a certain income level, this is how we'll help you, that will overwhelmingly help black people at a far greater percentage than it will help white people.
Trump supports Black Lives.
Trump supports Black Lives.
I don't like predatory animals, but what about spiders? When I found spiders in my house, especially garden spiders or jumping spiders, I'd scoop them up and put them in my raised bed garden to defend my shit from aphids etc. Are predators versus pests bad?
Kind of depends. Again, aphids are carnivorous, I believe, aren't they? So, you can have situations where predatory animals are going to kill and eat other predatory animals. If you did have a situation where you were using predatory animals to protect your property, wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. I'm in favor of culling carnivorous animals if it would reduce rights violations, so that should answer any question you have about when it is and isn't okay to kill carnivorous animals. Thanks for the donation, Nonweb.
Please Dr. Anthony Chaffee's third pinned posts on Instagram.
Pinned post? Oh, fuck.
Studies that showed a correlation but never causation.
When people say correlation, not causation, they don't know what that means. Even if you use the most, I don't know, rigorous, robust research like randomized trials, you're still looking at correlations. All health and nutrition research is correlational. It's just that if you can weed out any confounding variables, to a great enough degree, you can prove that those correlations are causal. And we've proven that the relationship between cholesterol, or if you want to be very specific, ApoB, lipoproteins, there is a causal relationship between that and heart disease. And the reason for that is, if you look at prospective cohorts, the correlation is strong enough, and there are also robust enough controls. If you look at randomized trials, and you can use any method of lipid lowering, it could be statins, it could be PCSK9 inhibitors, it could be diet and exercise. The degree to which you lower cholesterol results in better health outcomes. So the lower you can get cholesterol, the less likely you're going to see a recurrent event or a heart like a heart attack or something. People live longer. What really put the nail in the coffin was Mendelian randomization studies. So people who just genetically have lower cholesterol have a lower risk of heart disease. There's no other confounding variable. So you can't say, oh, they exercised more. Oh, they ate better just in general. They just had better overall lifestyle. No, they just genetically had lower cholesterol and they had a lower risk of heart disease. We didn't even need Mendelian randomization studies. Like, again, statin trials proved cholesterol has a causal relationship. There have been drugs developed to lower triglycerides. They didn't do anything to prevent heart disease. There have been drugs to increase HDL cholesterol or ApoA. They did nothing to prevent heart disease. So those things do not have a causal relationship. It's proven with prospective cohorts, randomized trials, including targeted therapies, and Mendelian randomization studies, that there's a causal relationship. This guy is just a fucking quack.
Between cholesterol and heart disease and the 1977 USDA recommendations to eat less fat and cholesterol were not only false but fraudulent, okay?
They still have those recommendations.
These were bought and paid for by the sugar industry.
No, they weren't.
Through something called the Sugar Research Foundation, that's now called the Sugar Association.
That's great. So you have to prove that the research is bad or inaccurate or invalid in some way, just even if it was supported by the Sugar Association. By the way, the Sugar Association isn't the ones running statin trials. They're not the ones running Mendelian randomization studies. Get the fuck over yourself.
The Journal of the American Medical Association published a report in 2015 from the UCSF showing internal documentation from the Sugar Research Foundation.
Who cares?
About how
Who fucking cares? Prove that cholesterol is not causal in heart disease risk.
There was evidence, and a ton of evidence in the literature going back to the 40s and 50s, suggesting that
the only thing he has to do to prove cholesterol is not causal in heart disease risk is show Mendelian randomization studies that show no correlation.
Sugar caused heart disease. And in their own words, in their own documentation, detailing how they paid off 3 Harvard professors to falsify data and publish fraudulent studies.
Oh, yeah, great. So show one study show one Mendelian randomization study where ApoB is not related to heart disease.
To make it appear as if cholesterol was causing heart disease, or is at least correlated with heart disease, and exonerating sugar, even though...
Yeah, so the only argument he has is no argument, and he just has this conspiracy theory. The only thing you have to do if you're claiming the relationship is non-causal is, again, show a Mendelian randomization study. It's fucking idiot's a waste of time. You know what? Fuck. Should maybe try to get a debate with him. That'd be fucking hilarious. Oh, this is from November 2022. Does he, like, ever post? Yeah, he's, like, done posting, unless he only posts reels 1 day ago. Okay, it looks like he's active. I'll try and message him. Oh, do you have to follow to message? Let me see. Hey, I've seen your content on cholesterol, and I would like to debate you on the topic that, on the topic of whether cholesterol is causal or non-causal in heart disease pathology. I normally host debates live on my YouTube channel and would love to have you on. Obviously, I take the position that cholesterol is certainly fuck, why can't I spell? Certainly causal. We'll see if he responds. What a fucking quack.
By the way, happy Labor Day, Rich. Are you upset that summer is just about over?
Yeah, we still have probably a couple more months of decent weather. Sometimes it stays warm until November, so I'm just hoping global warming will make it so I just need to wear a sweater all winter, and that's it. But I hate the cold. I hate snow. I just want it to stay warm. So fingers crossed, but still probably have a couple more months of decent weather. It's not too bad. Thanks for the donation, Matthew. Wait, what was the Trump supports Black Lives?
I think that President Trump supports all lives. I think that he looks at all.
He only cares about himself. You can just see his reaction to the Central Park 5. He does not give a shit about black people at all.
All Americans.
He doesn't care about anybody at all. It's just himself. He's a narcissist.
Since it's equal, I don't see him doing anything that would make you feel like
he only does
not
things to
support
benefit
Black
him.
Lives. That's of course going to lead into the conversation of Black Lives Matter, which was a movement and an organization with so much corruption. Donald Trump not supporting that organization doesn't mean that he doesn't support Black lives. It just means that he doesn't support the fraudulent organization that's stealing so much money from so many people to do absolutely nothing with it. Nor does he support a destructive movement that is destroying cities, communities, lives, etc. So I don't see why someone would think that President Trump doesn't support Black lives.
I've heard him say he knows all the best black people. He has all the best black friends. I do support black people all the time. So sorry, that was a very bad impression. But I don't think Donald Trump wants bad things to happen to black people. So in that respect, I think he does support Black lives. But the other side of that is he's not really doing anything. He didn't do anything as president, certainly, to uplift black people.
The economy affects black people.
Yeah, I certainly disagree with
the economy did not get better under Trump.
That point. One of the biggest things I
what did he do for the
supported
economy?
personally. Well, yeah, we don't. We'll get into that one later. One of the biggest things he did is
can't even name one thing. We'll just get into that later.
He secured permanent
Hopefully
funding for
we all
HBCUs, one of the largest increases we ever saw for HBCUs, personally done by his administration, among many other things. The First Step Act, which, there's a lot of debate about whether it was really the best thing to do, but that was definitely a kiss of love to the black race. Freeing Alice Johnson for menial drug crimes she committed in the past that had her locked up. She did not get to see her.
Trump is on record, on camera, stating that anybody who is a drug dealer should face the death penalty. So while he claimed he helped somebody, get out of jail for a minor drug offense, he also believes that woman should have faced the death penalty. So yeah, not a great example of Trump, being benevolent to black people.
Her family for years.
Yeah, but that's not okay, I did say I agree.
Why do I live in Canada? Why don't I move to the United States? Well, I like not paying insanely high taxes just so that we can have insanely high military spending, which the majority of which is fraud. So I like having free healthcare. I like having the social services that are in Canada. I much prefer the tax system here, even though the CRA is fucking incompetent and moronic. It's still better than in the United States. I'd have to pay higher taxes. I wouldn't get any social services. I'd just have the benefit of living in a country with an overblown military budget, which again, about 50% is fraud. Cost of living in general would be higher. So yeah, it's mainly, it's primarily cost with very little benefit. Like, if I wanted to move to the States, the only real benefit I'd get would be like the ability to move to a state with warmer weather, but like, I'm not gonna fucking move to Florida, that's for sure. California is also completely out. Taxes are so insanely fucking high there. It's also just turning into a shithole. You're also starting to see the warmer states becoming inhospitable. It's getting so hot, there's less and less fresh drinking water. You're probably going to see people moving out of Florida, and at least certain parts of California in not too much time. Same with Arizona. Arizona is one of the states that's probably going to become completely inhospitable due to climate change. So the only reason I'd really want to move to the States is for guns and for the weather and the states where, you know, I'd get those benefits. I'm probably not going to really be able to live there for the rest of my life. Oh, Texas sucks, dude. It's either windy as fuck and you have to deal with tornadoes, or again, same shit, ridiculously stupid hot where it's almost as bad as Florida and Arizona and certain parts of California. There is insane urban sprawl, like the worst in the fucking world. You can't walk anywhere, you can't bike anywhere, you have to drive everywhere. So yeah, no. That's out too.
But I agree in the...
Oh, wait. Wait. Who the fuck? Did I not? Oh, I skipped that one, right.
You've probably heard this a lot, but it seems you need to be more prepared for Destiny's spinelessness when you come on his stream to debate. You need to be able to recite word for word any quote to support your claim. You made me go vegan, so no hate.
Well, yeah. I'm well aware of Destiny's sliminess. But thanks for the donation, Brandon. Dodo donated $2.
We live in a low-income housing environment that goes by the government name of Section 8. Me and a group of my allies control certain areas of this section in order to run our illegitimate business. We possess unregistered firearms, stolen vehicles, mind-altering inhibitors, and only use cash for financial purchases. If anyone would like to settle unfinished altercations, I will be more than happy to release my address. I would like to warn you, I am a very dangerous person, and I regularly disobey the law.
Don't know if I've ever seen an iguana with a rat.
Wow.
That's a pretty iguana. Oh my god. That's a really friendly iguana. If I ever get reincarnated, like if that's a thing, I want to get reincarnated as an iguana on that one iguana island.
I think Destiny is extremely manipulative and can't be trusted. Do you actually like the guy?
No, I can't say I particularly like him, but I do like arguing with him. So I'm able to get along with people that are, you know, sort of my enemies. But I wouldn't say I particularly like him. Yeah, I'd like to be one of these marine iguanas if I ever get reincarnated. There's a particular island where they have no predators and they just chill out eating algae all day, and then they just sit in the sun and relax. What's my opinion on Pierre Poilievre? He's cancerous. And I think he's also a little spineless. The Conservative Party supported the idea of banning firearms with no pushback. It was bipartisan, and the only reason they did that was because they figured it would give them more political support going forward, which is bullshit. No citizens really, like, no Canadians gave a shit that firearms were getting banned. No one really supported it. At best, people were indifferent. So I thought it was pretty spineless of him and his party not to push back against that. Wouldn't have really made a difference because the Liberals and NDP have formed a coalition and they both suck each other's cocks. But still. On top of that, he's a typical crazy wacko conservative. He wants to get rid of socialized healthcare. He wants to get rid of the public school system, you know, that sort of shit. I don't like his politics in general, and I think a lot of people think he's smarter than he is just because he's made Trudeau look bad. And anybody can make fucking Trudeau look bad. Trudeau's a fucking moron and complete asshole. So depending on how things are going to play out with the upcoming election, I'm probably going to vote Conservative, though. Because I just don't want the Liberals and NDP to be able to form a majority. That's really the only reason. And yeah, but that's my opinion, basically. Yeah, if I ever get reincarnated, I want to be a marine iguana. It's a good iguana. Wow. Now that's a handsome boy. Yeah, they just eat algae and then they just chill on rocks to get sun.
In the sense that Donald Trump doesn't literally want bad things to happen to black people, like I think a lot of conservatives do. So I think that he just says the most yeah, I do think that. I think he says the things that will get him elected. So I don't think that he has any personal grudges against most people. He just says the most popular thing. So I think like Ron DeSantis would be, be somebody that I think actually wants black people to be hurt. So by that standard, yeah, Donald Trump supports Black Lives by leaps and bounds.
You think Donald Trump says the most popular thing?
Yeah.
Really?
He attempts to say the most popular things to get elected. He's a liar. He just wants people to vote for him.
Good evening, VG. Albert Einstein was right when he said there are two things in the universe that are infinite, universe and human stupidity, and I'm not so sure about the universe.
Let me take a look at this.
Because we don't, I personally believe that wiping after using the restroom is not good for your health. You don't know what chemicals are in toilet paper or in wipes, so I personally think it's best to just not wipe.
I'm stopping this avalanche before it starts.
Yep. There are some people not smart enough to use toilet paper. Thanks for the donation, though, Ben.
Yes.
Then why do so many people hate him?
He got elected as president.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. Everybody hates the fucking president. He provably says whatever he thinks will get him the most popularity. He obviously can't appeal to every single person, but he deliberately tries to say the things that he thinks will get him the most popularity. Look at when he was president. He supported Operation Warp Speed. He promoted the vaccine, told everybody that vaccines are great, it's amazing technology, it'll save lives. Now, after he sees so many people being anti-vaxxers against the lockdowns, mask wearing, all this shit, he's saying, oh yeah, I'm not in support of vaccines, I'm not in support of mask wearing, I'm never gonna do any of these mandates again. So he just says whatever he thinks will get him the most popularity. This is a massive cope.
Yeah.
He didn't win the popular vote neither time.
That's a liberal
what your
talking
side
point.
wants to say.
That's a liberal talking
I'm
point.
helping you here. I'm trying to see the logic in this. Obviously, he says things to be elected as a politician very similarly to how Joe Biden did, except Joe Biden actually has a history of racism.
If he said things that people didn't like, he wouldn't have been our president.
So you like everything that Donald Trump says? You think everything?
Yeah, the most racist thing Joe Biden did was the crime bill.
He says is popular.
I love a lot of the things he said.
But didn't Trump support the crime bill too? I'm pretty sure Trump supported the 1990s crime bill.
I think he's hilarious when he said big water. That was one of my favorite quotes. Big water.
Water, big water, ocean water.
He has the funniest one-liners, so I love a lot of the things he says. As far as policy, he sucks, but
I'm just shocked you're wearing a Hunter Biden hat. He likes a different
Hate, I think, for a lot of people, not just black people, but like.
I mean, this man took out like a full page in a newspaper calling for the public execution of 5 black kids. His hotels, all of his businesses have rampant history of denying black people apartments or whatever. So
I forgot about that. I should not have stepped forward.
Look, I mean, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump, so I don't think he really cares about anyone, I guess, unless you're like super rich or whatever.
He's a narcissist.
When you look at his history on racial issues, whether it's the shithole countries comment, the plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, just the comments he's made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base and to get elected.
I don't necessarily think those statements come from a place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically, oh, if you pray 5 times a day towards the east or towards Mecca based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying if you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings, maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump.
Yeah, not all Muslims or Mexicans are like rapists, murderers, drug cartels, terrorists. A lot of conservatives actually hated Trump for what he said about immigration because he said some of the most racist, xenophobic statements, making it much harder for conservatives to push for stricter immigration laws. Even, what's his name? Fucking Eye Patch Man. Conservative Eye Patch Man. I'm sure you guys know who I mean. He said what Trump said about foreigners is racist.
Because he made the economy good, and so the economy then impacted black people, white people, Latino people. It impacted everybody. But Trump, he didn't think specifically, I don't think, about black people. He thought about himself, and he thought about how can I make America great for me, and making and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go with this guy, and the reason I'm gonna go with this guy is because if he can make America great and he can make that it rise for everybody, I'm gonna benefit from.
He gave the richest people tax cuts. That's all he did. And he drove the deficit even higher.
That. So that's why I went, and that's why I voted for him. That's why I supported him.
How does that specifically benefit black people? Again, he's a businessman, but he's also a racist businessman, like well documented so. So like, I just...
and Biden's not? Biden's
No,
not?
Yes, he is.
Well, yeah, so the most racist thing he's ever done was support the 1990s crime bill, which targeted black people. But again, if you actually look at the rest of his policies, his policy decisions aren't racist. And like what? Like the one sort of kind of controversy leading up to the election was he said, "You're not really black if you don't vote for me," something along those lines.
He created the crime bill.
He's racist like your fucking grandmother's racist, okay? Like, she's not gonna fucking hate on black people and all this shit, but she's gonna clutch her purse when she comes by some like basketball players.
So that's regardless of the
Well,
point.
address the Central Park 5. That's what you brought up, right? How do you feel about that?
Well,
he took that full
actually,
page out after they were exonerated.
so I haven't.
He wanted them to be
Yeah, after they were exonerated, proven innocent, he said they should be killed.
killed,
Well,
That is why I didn't
executed,
step forward,
just because they were
of
black.
That story.
And
But,
he bars people from attending his businesses or like renting apartments from all his like stupid Trump towers. I
think Trump at that point was, like many people in this room, particularly liberals, a victim of the media. I think he was scared. I think he was ashamed of the things that he heard in the news and wanted to take action himself as a businessman, not as a
Why
racist.
are you infantilizing him?
I don't like also real quick because people keep bringing up this comparison to the '93 crime bill from Biden. That crime bill, this was at the height of like violent crime and the crack epidemic in the United.
I've heard the stupid argument from Destiny. He's going to say even black senators supported the 93 crime bill. Black senators do not represent your average fucking black person. And usually with these racially motivated policies, a lot of people don't really consider how it will impact certain minority groups. So you're not just racist in the way that, oh, I'm going to target black people. There's an aspect of racism where you just don't care who it's going to impact necessarily.
United States. The Congressional Black Caucus supported that crime bill. Everybody in the United States supported that crime bill. The idea that that crime bill was like some racist piece of legislation that Biden was just wheeling out.
Absolutely was a racist piece of legislation. They just didn't care that it would disproportionately affect black people.
Because he hates black people, and that's somehow comparable to the Donald Trump's treatment of the Central Park 5 that were already exonerated. That wasn't a victim of the media. The media said they were done. They were exonerated in court. They weren't there.
As I understand it, the prosecutor of the 5, he was a black guy, and so in being a black.
Oh yeah, and a lot of black senators are Uncle Toms. I mean, look at Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court judge. He's fucking racist against black people. So you're talking about they don't represent black America. They're just black, and they happen to be in politics.
That guy, he went and he looked at all the evidence and said these guys are guilty.
Black people can also be racist against other black people.
Or just make mistakes.
So if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park 5, even if they themselves are a black person, they're just a self-loathing black person, they're just a racist black person.
If they disagree with me, they're
that prosecutor was
racist.
doing his job.
That's my policy. If they disagree with me, they're racist.
I like that.
I think Trump, Trump has shown a history of ignorant at best and racist at
Reparations are necessary. I wouldn't say they're necessary. They'd just be a good thing.
Are necessary.
Oh damn. Fucking based.
When we talk about reparations, I think that doing reparations in the way that a lot of people think of it, where we just give it to black people, I'm not an
Yeah, so they probably, I'm just going to skip forward to see the discussion. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of, oh, we're just supposed to give millions of dollars to every black person?
like slavery or the civil rights movement or any of that. But to try and do that now logistically just doesn't really make any sense. And like, where would this money come from? Like, we're in so much.
Yes, where would the money come from? We've increased the military budget by $500 billion in the last few years, but where would the money come from? Yeah, just who fucking knows? Apparently it can come out of everybody's ass when it comes to increasing the military budget, but anything else like improving public education, fixing roads, supporting public transit infrastructure, where's the money gonna come from? Oh, we need another $300 billion to the military budget. Oh yeah, we can just write the check. Fucking retarded.
Debt as a nation. Would I get this money? I'm biracial or triracial. Like, do mixed people
Starfield
get
doesn't
it?
come out
And
until
like,
tomorrow,
do
dude.
Irish people get reparations when they were indentured servants?
I think for reparations, if you can find
Starfield is not out right now. They're releasing it at like 7 p.m. or something stupid. I have no fucking idea why they can't do midnight. Like, the game is literally like the entire fucking story has been uploaded to YouTube now. You can see full playthroughs, and they're not releasing the game until like 7 p.m. tomorrow and not doing a midnight release. It's so fucking retarded. These companies are so fucking annoying, dude. Yeah, 19 hours. What fucking sense does that make?
specific instances of somebody being like actually deprived of something, whether specific instances of like the 40 acres and a meal promise, or whether you can find specific cases of like Chinese people building railroads or Irish people or whatever, people being deprived of things, that's okay. But otherwise, yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. There's no possible way that we'd be able to do it well.
Yeah, America's
You don't need to be able to do it well. All you need to do is require a certain standard of evidence that you can trace your genealogy back to somebody who was a slave. Once that's done, you get like, I don't know, $40,000 or something. I think that's the estimated equivalent value of what reparations were planned to be. It's certainly fucking doable. It's not a logistical nightmare at all.
Unique because we have bent over backwards for decades now, putting minorities in a position of privilege. I feel like we have done so much to give back to the communities that were obviously wronged. And I agree with both of you. Like, had this happened a long time ago,
there was 300 years of slavery, and you think like what, affirmative action? It like makes up for that? It's just insane.
I would understand it. If we had specific incidences that we could trace where people were just completely screwed over, I would respect it. But right now, I don't deserve a payment for something my great-great-great-great-grandparents went through.
Yes, you do. That's total bullshit.
And I don't think that white people are responsible for paying that to me either.
I know we...
Yeah, that's total bullshit. Look at it this way. This happens today, by the way. So you can find people who have not paid rent for their apartment. They might have skipped out on the last like couple months and then not paid again. You can actually make sure that they're responsible for that debt for the rest of their lives. And you can actually, what'll happen is, if those people are still alive, like you might die if you're the landowner, and then your kid would actually get that money. So like this happens today. So somebody who's a landowner will rent their apartment or something. They'll skip out on rent. 20, 30, 40 years later, they might end up croaking, getting a heart attack and die. They still owe that debt. Their kid will end up getting that debt if they do the proper paperwork to make sure they're still responsible for that debt. Like, it's fair. If something's owed to you or your family, like, it should be repaid. I don't see how the fuck he could say because it happened so long ago. Like, again, there's 300 years of fucking slavery. Affirmative action doesn't make up for that. And if you can trace your genealogy back to, you know, people who were owned as slaves, you should get fucking some amount of fucking reparations for that. Like, why shouldn't you? And it's totally fucking doable. If you just, like, it's not that much money. It's like $40,000 or something is the estimated amount of what reparations were supposed to be. Back when the slaves were originally, like, initially freed. And you're not going to have every single fucking black person in the United States be able to trace their genealogy back, or be willing to go through the paperwork and shit like that. So it's totally doable. If we can add $300 billion to military expenditure in a single year, we can certainly do that.
You don't want you.
Do you have an opinion about Brian Johnson, the most tested human, and Blueprint's mission?
Whatever. I don't know what opinion I'm supposed to have. It's interesting. It's good that somebody has an interest in progressing aging research. Thanks for the donation, Jay. Matthew donated $2. Trump is a Nazi. How can any black person support him? By being dumb. Thanks for the donation, Matthew.
Use the word virtue signaling, but it's sort of like a bribe for a vote in a way, at least in my opinion. In states like California, where they've been throwing around the idea of, oh, we want to pay out this much money to every black citizen in there, in this state, it's like, oh, are you serious? Because this is kind of like a joke, in my opinion.
I think that if we impose reparations now, I think it would rip America apart. I think that we're already separated enough as it is, and now you're going to have people walking around going, you owe me money, you owe me money, I'm not paying you any money. It would just
No, it wouldn't. The money's coming from the government, not any individual person.
really rip us apart.
Giving somebody money doesn't mean anything if they don't know what to do with the money or how to handle the money. So.
Oh boy. Black people don't deserve reparations because they wouldn't know what to do with the money. Great argument. Yeah, I guess like corporations shouldn't pay their employees because what are dumb, uneducated, poor people gonna do with money? We should just give them like IOUs or some sort of like special debit card where they can only buy things at certain stores that we own. That way we can ensure that all these dumb poor people will spend their money responsibly. Like what?
So if the primary issue in black culture or with black people is generational trauma, then maybe they need more therapy than they need money, honestly.
Which conservatives are also.
That is monstrously, insanely racist and stupid.
Against.
Well, that's kind of my argument. Like, if there is like that, like generational trauma or whatever, like.
Yeah, they'd only spend it on grills and sneakers. Like it matters. The point is to compensate them for something they're owed. They don't have to spend the money responsibly. They can buy cocaine and shove it all up their nose. It's what they're owed. Like, imagine if somebody owed you money, like a few $1,000s, and they said, well, you're a drug addict. You're just going to spend it on drugs, so I'm not going to pay you. Like, you owe the fucking money. It doesn't matter what they're going to do, like, what they're going to do with the fucking money.
I think examples of like free healthcare.
Dude, I'm surprised nobody is pushing back against that. Are they just like too cucked to tell a black person that's like an insanely stupid racist thing to say?
Just and not be, fall into debt. And I think the argument of like the logistical nightmares of it, I think if we want to pay for something in this country, we usually find a way to do it, especially when it comes to the military. So, we pay for multi-billion-dollar jets all the time.
It's not the dollars, it's who's supposed to get them.
Not to attack progressives, but that is like the most progressive idea in the world. Is like I can see the headlines like reparations voted on in Congress to be paid in the form of free therapy for people in the hood. That just sounds like the funniest thing in the world. But
well, I also don't think it's gonna come directly from like white person to black person. Like, oh, your lineage affected his lineage.
It is though. Like in San Francisco, they were.
Like, I don't know why they're overstating the complexity of reparations. There's already social programs that either remove tax burden or give money to people based on their racial background. So, like, in Canada, if you're Native American, like, in order to get the benefits, like Native American benefits, like, you don't have to pay any sales tax. You have to just trace back your genealogy and prove that you're from like a specific tribe. And then you hand that information in, and then you get a special card where you don't have to pay sales tax anymore. So, like, why can't you do that same thing with reparations? It's easy. Like, They're all fucking coping. It's so bizarre. All right, well, this is just white savior complex, final thoughts, whatever. I think both sides, I think this is probably the most base guy in there, but yeah, I don't think both sides did a great job arguing. Let's see what's next. I think I wanted to react to Tash. She did a thing with Butterfield. Yeah. I'm just gonna go take a piss. I'll be right back. Do I like potatoes? Fuck yeah, dude. Especially fried. Fried potatoes. Doesn't even matter how they're fried. They could be chips, French fries, thick cut, pan fried. They're all fucking good. Potatoes are pretty sweet. Alright, I'll be right back.
This microphone.
I could just be like down here.
Yeah. Tash, do you call him the? You could
Go
call,
with that.
you could totally call yourself the God particle.
The God particle.
You know the Higgs boson?
Yeah.
Not that much of a scourge on Western.
And what would you want people to do? You know, like at that level, you would think, fuck yeah, disrupt the streets. This is fuck. This is really bad.
Mm.
And no one's standing up for me. So it's like, at that point, I can kind of see its value, but you have to weigh it up. And if it's serious enough, I think so.
And I think what we got out of the last podcast, and I was reading through some of the comments that when we had ours, and probably 90% of them, they were positive comments saying, okay, I may disagree with Tash, but I really respect her for, you know, going balls deep into what she believes in and standing up for it. Because a lot of the time people, you know, they may disagree with something or they may see an injustice in the world and they just keep quiet.
Yeah.
And I think you received everyone's respect for doing that. And I think that's what we learnt from the podcast. People still think you're a bit of a goose sometimes.
Should
but
do
people think
bike
I'm a bit of a goose
reviews. You
sometimes.
mean motorcycles?
Oh, Bluey.
King Goose.
King Goose. You are the right-hand man of this podcast, and you've been late to every podcast for the last 6 months.
Just for a bit of context, guys.
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm just under the pump at work, and it's fucking everything up here. And
Bluey,
he's riding my back.
Bluey has a very important job in this world.
I'm a scaffolder. It's not at all important.
you own the company.
It's important to people that need scaffolding, but outside
everyone
of that,
needs
it's fucking-
scaffolding.
Well, not everyone.
Well,
No,
we had scaffolding waking us up the other morning, so.
You're welcome. You guys are welcome.
So what do you guys do outside of protesting and all that type of business? What do you guys get up to?
Lots of things, really. We're pretty normal people. We like going outdoors and having fun and being silly.
Can I give you a bit of context? You guys are a couple, right?
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
are together. How long have you been together for?
Over 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And how did you meet?
Through animal rights activism.
Awesome. Match made in heaven.
Could have fucking guessed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We met at a barbecue.
It wasn't at the deli, mate.
It was
They
a
didn't meet
luau.
at the deli. That's great. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And so obviously like a good bonding activity for you guys. You spend a lot of time like partaking in activism together. That's like, is that the majority of what you guys do?
Yeah, well, that's how
Pretty
we
much.
first started hanging out, really. She just got me to come film a protest. I think it was one at Macca's, and I had a bit of a knack for it. We just kept going, and it's literally been the whole journey.
Well,
and,
how did you get into animal rights?
Butterfield said
activism?
he's not interested in
same as
cage
Tash,
matching me.
really. Actually, it was my mum and my sister. My mum and my sister were first to actually get into it, and I was a bit hesitant. I wasn't really too keen on it. And then I just kind of went along to a few, and I was like, yeah, I mean, this is really good. I wanted to speak up for the animals. What they're going through is horrific. So I was just like, this is a good way to just kind of get that transparency out to the public. So yeah, same as Tash, started getting into group activism, and then we just started doing solo stuff, and that was around the start of the pandemic. So it was like a real prime time to get on social media and get that out there, and yeah, it just worked well.
Well, how do you go when people speak ill of Tash? Because my wife Claire, she's involved in my second channel and the Mum and Dad show, and sometimes, very rarely, she gets a negative comment. She's a lovely person, so it's very rare. But I feel quite angry when that happens. Like, I fucking hate the person that did it. When you see people speaking ill of Tash, how do you feel in that regard?
Most of it's bullshit, like I know the truth. Tash knows the truth. Like, you take it with a grain of salt. Like, it's nothing. It's just words. And like, words online is nothing compared to like the shit that she'll go through in an actual protest. And even then, I'm just wanting to capture it. Like, I just want to expose that to other people, show the abuse that people are really throwing at her, and you got to get it online. That's just the internet for you. So
Yeah, there's piece of shit on the internet.
Yeah.
So what happens at a protest? So you would walk in, you start doing whatever you're doing at that moment. For you, is there a security option here, or is there something happening in security, or is it just you two? Is there a concern that something may happen? Because I as I said, I respect what Tash does. I don't necessarily agree with exactly how she does it. Like I've said that to you before.
Yeah.
Like I feel like perhaps, and Bluey, you may agree or disagree, that maybe there's a better way to go about it. But I know in activism, people like in animal rights activism and the global warming activism, all that type of stuff, it's all about disruption. That's the sort of the ethos. I may disagree with that, but what happens when people start seeing this and they see vegan booty out in the streets and all this type of stuff out in the wild, so to speak? How do people react to that? Is there aggression? I know we've seen it on tape a couple of times. The old dude at the bull riding, or was that a cattle auction a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
He sort of pulled you out of the way on all that type of stuff. Is there a fear that you run into here, and is there a fear for you as well?
You go
Not
first.
really, to be honest. I mean, it's always nerve-wracking putting myself out there in these very vulnerable positions where people are going to confront me and verbally and physically abuse me, to the point where, as you saw that farmer, the way he grabbed me was insane. And to see that these people aren't getting charged for assault. I mean, I understand if I'm resisting, which
She's got to gain a bit of weight and actually take training and martial arts seriously. If she gained like maybe 20, 30 pounds of muscle and started doing like serious kickboxing training, she'd probably like fuck some people up, like break a few teeth. She gets pushed around way too easy.
I do, and people ask me to leave, I understand they have a right to remove me, but these people come up and they want to hurt me. It's not about removing me. They want
Do
to
they have a
hurt
right
me.
to remove you though? Like, I know I used to work in pubs, right, in security, and I don't know the rules surrounding removing people or resisting. You're a scaffolder. You'd hang around with some Kiwis. What is the security?
I've been kicked out of plenty of pubs as well.
What do you think? Like,
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what the law is, but I've been turfed plenty of times. Like,
I don't know why I threw to you on that question.
Yeah, I've been on the other end of it.
Yeah, from my understanding, if you're going into someone's workplace,
She does do
a
OnlyFans.
staff
What the
member
fuck are you
has
talking
the right
about?
to remove you if you're refusing to leave.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but people come up and assault me And it's not just staff members. I went inside a restaurant recently and this guy sitting down eating dinner came up, put me in a headlock and pushed me in the back of my neck and shouted, "Fuck off." And all the police say is, "Oh, he was just assisting staff to remove you." And I'm like, that's just bullshit. Like, he hurt me.
Yeah. It's hard. Do you think there's like an element of like provocation in a way? Like, you are going in there to disrupt. Like, do you understand why people react the way that they do?
Well, this bloke's just
Yeah,
trying
I
to get his
do.
nuggets. Like, leave him alone.
No, yeah, well, I understand people want to defend their ego. They're attacking the messenger rather than the message. I'm obviously triggering them by saying you are contributing to animal abuse and murder if you're not vegan, and this is the way people are going to react, and it's just a part of social change. If we look back into past social justice movements, for example, the suffragettes or civil rights activists, they were jailed, they were beaten in the streets. This is how the public...
What's the best way to gain traction doing activism online? Make good videos. That's really it. Just make videos that people will watch. Can't really give any other advice, but yeah, like trying to coordinate debates with people, that can't help.
Police reacted to them for standing up for their rights. And what I'm going through is nothing in comparison to them or in comparison to what non-human animals are subjected to in these industries.
Do you think, like you were saying, like people attack the messenger and not the message? Do you think, I know like last time we spoke, we were sort of talking about how sometimes the message can get lost because of the way that you guys go about it, because it is so disruptive and like an aggressive way.
It's gonna rain later in the week.
Do you think
Suck my
potentially that that's why people react the way they do? That it is because of the way that the message is getting put out there that they do attack the messenger and not the message?
Does it become more about the message and more about you and the personal brand than the actual what you're trying to get across?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but they wouldn't be reacting in that way if they weren't listening to the message. If I were going in there shouting out about something else that wasn't really, you know, a social justice issue, I don't think people would be reacting in that way. They just ignore me.
I don't know.
They hear this truth that I'm speaking and they realize, well, I'm, you know, contributing to this, what I would say is the largest injustice in history, and they get angry over it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I'm feeling where you're coming from too, Blue.
Thanks, mate.
We are holding hands over the desk at the moment, by the way. I think that what it does is it takes away from the message. But also in saying that, what else do you do? If you've got a message that you're trying to get across there, what else do you do? Do you not riot in the streets? Do you not get angry? Look at the people who are mad
I've
about
seen
the
her butthole.
vaccines.
She
How
has a
else
good
do they get their
butthole.
point across if they're not making content or getting in people's faces? I understand where it's coming from, but I still think it's not the best way to do it. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like when you go and you dress yourself as like a
yeah, I would say my chair's pretty much ideal if you're gonna work at a desk all day. It might not work with all desks, because there's like a frame underneath some desks. So if you're gonna use the kick out chair thing, might get in the way. But if you're gonna use a recliner for at a work desk, I'd recommend getting an adjustable height desk. This one is an adjustable height desk. So a 3-stage electric standing desk would probably be the way to go. I think I paid $600 for this one. Wasn't the most expensive, but it was actually the most comfortable. I tried some that were like $2,500 and they weren't as comfortable.
a packaged meat thing that goes in the supermarket refrigerator like you did last week with Peter, which I have an issue with. How dare you work for the dark side? People for the ethical treatment of cows, I think it is. When you do that, I think it becomes more about vegan booty and the crazy things that she's doing than a cow being slaughtered or the environment that chickens are held in if they're caged or if they're quote unquote free ranged.
That's not a particularly good argument because if you look at all the media surrounding Tash, most of it is in regards to the vegan activism she's doing, and it's not just covering her specifically. So it looks like her activism is doing what it's supposed to. which is starting a conversation around veganism and animal rights and not just a conversation around her.
Or whatever that happens to be. I think it becomes more about yourself and the brand that you're pushing. It's sort of like with me, right?
I was about to say it's very similar.
It's exactly like me.
It's like
okay?
exactly like.
It's it couldn't be more.
Except
like
instead of selling tickets to comedy shows, it's like pushing that message. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's the same approach. It's like
It's more
Yeah, I
about
get
your
it, but
personal.
I have to bring attention to myself to bring attention to non-human animals. If I didn't do it in that way, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now having this conversation. I don't think there'd be one media article about me which quotes word for word about what I'm saying that animals are subjected to.
Do you think
which
people
is-
switch off though?
Some people might, certainly. They don't want to know the truth, but I'm literally getting millions of people talking about animal rights. Some people shut off, some people start talking about it, and it starts this whole domino effect and put the message into public dialogue.
I would
And get
argue
messages
that
every day from people saying that they've gone vegan because of my work. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't find it to be effective.
if you were butting your head against the wall kind of thing. Like you are making some
exactly.
progress.
I put like every piece of energy that I have into animal rights. I don't see why people would accuse me of just
Yes,
doing it for my
Goku's
own
evil
attention
fruiting
or
meat.
something like that. I just don't see anyone who would be willing to put themselves in those situations where literally their lives are at risk. My criminal records are building up. And like it's just bringing more attention to the message, but like
Off the top of your head,
the
new it is funny. Off the top of your head, what's your charge list? What's your rap sheet look like at the moment? Just off the top of your head, do you know? Like how many? What are you looking at?
Yeah,
Well, I have 3.
it is kind of funny. For me, I think it's funny.
It is hilarious. Like I get it. Like it's like okay, maybe they're targeting me, or it's not great that this is happening, and I saw on your face like why are you laughing? But it is hilarious to have you sit there and you go, I want to look after animals, but I've been arrested 400 times.
Yeah.
So what is your rap sheet?
Because it is like a very pure intention. Like what you're doing is good, but to have
Yes.
a load of criminal charges is like, it's
shit.
funny. Like it's shit. It's funny.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't be funny if it was me, but like, yeah. What's like? What are you looking at? Like charge wise, like what
At
are
the
we
moment,
talking?
I have 3 criminal convictions, and I'm appearing in court at the end of this month for 3 new charges for 1 protest.
You should be a scaffolder. I work with
Yeah, you'd fit right in. So what are those charges that you're appearing for at the end of this month?
The 2 charges of trespass
Okay.
and 1 charge of disorderly conduct. So this
Okay.
was the protest.
Disorderly conduct charges are almost always fucking bullshit. I've seen some of the shit she's done where either her or her boyfriend got arrested for disorderly conduct. They don't even know what fucking disorderly conduct is.
I did in June in a steakhouse where I dressed in the slaughterhouse costume. And then I went across the road to another place and I got charged
professional.
trespass for both.
Right.
So
It's creative.
What constitutes
Yeah.
trespass though? Aren't these public?
Yeah, I think she needs to just leave when she's asked, because if she left when she's asked, it wouldn't be a trespassing charge.
places? Can't you just walk in there? Or they've asked you to leave and then that constitutes trespass?
yeah, that's what they're claiming. Yeah.
Okay. So you have lawyers, you have all that type of stuff happening?
Yeah.
Are they vegan lawyers?
No, but I think my lawyer's pretty on board with the animal rights message, and she might be. But yeah,
Okay.
it's difficult to find a lawyer that's really
A good
aligning
person?
with my
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
They all like
she's
red meat.
brilliant.
Yeah.
She's,
They have to.
She's a brilliant lawyer.
Red
so-
meat and cocaine lawyers, I think.
Yeah,
That's how
red
they
wine.
do it.
Yeah.
So how do you fund these legal
Crusades. You gonna say crusades?
I wasn't, but yeah, I like it. How do you fund these legal crusades?
A bit of everything, really. I have a lot of people, like a big support network,
Mm.
literally across the globe, where people want to help me and put in donations. So, in the past, I've set up some GoFundMes for like legal fines and costs, which people have helped me, and thankfully, the OnlyFans helps with that too. So,
Yeah.
I'm pretty fortunate in that.
And the OnlyFans, was that a means to an end, or was that just sort of something you saw and you go, okay, this is the best way to sort of, capitalize on the public, the public, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just attention.
The public attention and turn it into a way that I can actually fund what I'm doing. Was that sort of the way you did it?
Well, yeah, essentially, I've always since the beginning of becoming an animal rights activist, I've always envisioned myself doing this full time because I'm so passionate about it. And I was working as a lifeguard and swimming instructor whilst trying to do my activism as well, which is very intensive. And I'd considered OnlyFans and sort of thought, oh, that's not for me. I don't really know about that. And then, eventually I thought, fuck it, there's no other way. I'm just going to see if this can help me be a full-time activist. And, it's thankfully all worked out for me. So, yeah.
Are you in on the OnlyFans?
Sure am.
Fucking oath.
Are you?
Yeah.
As in, are you in, or do you, are you
dicks and all?
In front of the camera, behind the camera?
Behind the
Both.
camera, yeah.
Oh, both?
Oh, both.
Fuck yeah.
Hang on.
Jack of all trades.
He gets the God particle out.
Yeah.
The Higgs boson makes an appearance.
Yeah.
So you, not to be too rude here, but you have sex on camera?
Do we?
Yeah, I guess we do.
Well, hang on. We either do or we don't. There's not.
Well, there's only one way to find out, really.
Yeah.
How do we find out?
Subscribing to their OnlyFans.
Make another video about it because it's changed a bit since your last one.
What do you mean?
I thought you would know. I thought you were on there.
No, I only went on once and I felt weird.
That's what they all say.
I honestly felt weird. I was like...
Yeah, we all only went on once.
Yeah. I felt really weird because I was like, this is a lady I've spoken to before, and I was just like, I don't... no, not putting
How do
shit
you
on
not
It's just
know
like,
Tash is on OnlyFans?
That's right. You're one of many.
No, it just feels wrong. Not that you're doing it, but that I have spoken to you, and then I'm seeing nude photos. I was just like, no, I can't get around it. But yeah, I'll get back on, sure, whatever.
That's what it was like for both of us at the start. We're like, is this something that we actually want to do? We probably had the same views as most people in public about getting nude in front of camera. And, we just thought about it a little bit. Tash brought it up to me and I asked what I thought. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, off the bat, I'd be like, no, that's probably wrong. But, we had to go and I started doing some photo shoots with Tash, similar stuff to probably what we're already doing, but it was really nothing. It was pretty, I don't know how you would rate it. PG, M, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was
M15 plus.
M15 plus.
House of the Dragon type of stuff.
Yeah. And then, it was just like, well, what's the issue? Really? It's just a fucking body. And, that's how we felt and just kept going from there. And it was really good.
It's
source
fun
of income
having
for
sex
Tash,
on
so why
camera.
not,
How much have you made from it now, do you think?
Kind of difficult to say, but it's still like a steady amount. I mean, it's not
100K?
as much as initially, but
100K?
what, a month?
No, like all up.
Yeah, maybe
200.
maybe about that. I don't really know, to be honest.
Bullshit. You gotta know. How much a month then? 10, 20, 30? Tell me when.
I don't know. I'm just saying that because last time I said it just went off and people start talking
And it
about
changes.
it, and I
It
hate
changes
just
all the
saying.
time.
It's very.
It's very
Fluctuates.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard.
But it is enough for us to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
That's good.
It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
broccoli's not that dear. So I see a lot. I see a
The
lot.
groceries are cheap.
I see a lot of young girls who start OnlyFans, and Claire and I, we know a couple that started it, and we watch it vicariously to basically make fun of them, not to be mean. But we notice that it starts off with a little bit of side boob, and then it's a butt cheek. And then 6 or 8 months later, it's full assholes. That's the way they do it because they run out of content. They're like, okay.
It's the natural progression.
And you have to. And then
evolution.
now there's this other chick. She was on Maths, Hayley Vernon. Do you know her?
No.
So she's an OnlyFans creator. She went full porn. Full porn. She's getting jammed by 8 dicks. It's all happening. There was a story on today. Claire sent it to me. Now she is a high-class escort as well.
Wow.
That's where the money is.
Is it?
Oh, apparently.
$1,000 a night. That's not even that high class, is it?
That's middle of the road. That's middle of the road, mate.
Lordy jumped in with seconds to spare then. How much is high class then if that's not...
Oh, you could spend plenty.
7 and 10 a night your mate gets. And he's a man, yeah?
No,
a female. Didn't you have a man as well? Yeah, he's $800 an hour.
Talking about the gender pay gap.
I know, my God.
Fuck me.
That's an outrage. So at 10 grand a night. Okay.
Wow.
Respect.
That's nice.
Slinging some good dick. That's nice.
Yeah, you must be. Fucking hell.
I'm keen to know, what's a normal day? I'm always keen to know when I meet like this guy's day compared to my day and a lot of people who listen to this day who just get up and go to work and go home.
I had a splinter yesterday, by the way. I meant to tell you.
I don't want to hear it.
No.
Involved to do with, the next protest or creating.
Business. There's also a low carb vegan diet, a high fat vegan diet. I guess it's the same as any diet. And I think that anyone can eat any diet, and that's not the argument. The argument isn't, hey, can you actually live off this? It is the performance side of things.
Yeah, and as I said, yeah, you can. The science is showing that. Like, you take two athletes, one's plant-based, one's not, give them the same amount of nutrients, all whole foods. You're not really supplementing other than the B12 that I mentioned, which has got nothing to do with performance as long as you're it's more of a necessity for everybody.
Are there many athletes that are vegan?
Yeah, you can look them up. There's bodybuilders.
Nate Diaz?
Every athlete.
Nate Diaz, yeah.
All athletes, there will be a
Nate
vegan.
Diaz
There'll be a
isn't vegan.
You know what I mean? They're all out there.
What about world champions?
Yeah, I think there's heaps. Well, watch the documentary.
There
Game
is
Changers.
actually a
It shows
vegan
those
UFC
world
fighter,
champions and just
by
shows
the way.
that they're performing at a very
Can't
high
remember
level
his
and they're
fucking
doing
name now,
well
but he's
and
a
they're
black
winning.
dude.
Does the funding over these vegan documentaries and the content that comes out ever concern you?
What do you mean by that?
So like Game Changers, as people like Bill Gates who invested so much money in these type of what did he invest in? It was basically a what's it called?
Like lab grown meat.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Beyond Meat. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Does that ever concern you that maybe these things are, or the science, and you look at who sort of funded it? It's like the stuff that happened with the sugar industry.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. There's funding in the meat, dairy, and egg industry as well.
Definitely.
And it's like,
so how do you
If you look at the research that's being done by the sugar industry, it's not bad. One of the big studies on sugar found that as long as it doesn't go above 10% of daily calories, there isn't an association with processed sugar and any disease risk.
Another example of Darwinism in action, lol.
Let me take a look.
It's actually illegal.
Oh, wait, fuck.
We love buying dairy from the Amish is that they don't pasteurize their dairy. It's actually illegal to sell unpasteurized or raw milk in stores.
I've been seeing a lot of influencers tout the purported health benefits of drinking raw milk, and one thing you might not know is that cows also get tuberculosis, and they can give it to us. This is a memoir by a woman named Gloria Paris who contracted tuberculosis in her bones from drinking raw milk. She endured countless surgeries, horrific pain, years of hospitalization, and this isn't ancient history. She's still alive. As is Gail Perkins, who also wrote an excellent memoir about contracting spinal tuberculosis from drinking raw cow milk. There is a reason we pasteurize milk. In fact, there are a bunch of reasons.
Listen, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of people talk.
Yeah, people are kind of stupid. Thanks for that donation, though, Bend Over.
Get to the bottom of that.
So, man, that's why I did my degree. So you can actually decipher the evidence and work out which one is of higher value than others. And, you can look at who's funding this. You can actually look at the ones that are giving the money. And say I'm looking at a meat industry. If you wouldn't want to be in the animal's situation, being abused, tortured, and murdered, why not choose the option that doesn't involve that and thrive and survive without consuming that? That's what we're here to show. Is you wouldn't support that.
So where is the difference between a human and an animal? Do you think
the difference?
Yes.
Well,
where is there a difference? And why?
Of course, there's differences. Yeah, physical differences.
For sure.
And there's
Physical
probably
differences. But ethical differences.
Ethical, no. I mean, we all have the same. How would you put that then?
Yeah, we all have the desire to live. I mean, we've both been to slaughterhouses
They're
and we hear
individuals,
them
yeah.
screaming. We see them on the trucks before they're about to be murdered, and you can just look in them in the eyes, and you
I don't
can
think
see
Natalie
that
Portman's
they're an
vegan.
individual, and they know they're going to die. And we hear them fighting until their very last
Screaming,
breath.
yeah.
So
And
what
I think
about
that's
animals?
all that matters at the end of the day is they want to live. There are so many differences between humans and non-humans, but it's not about that. It's about the similarities.
I mean,
that
we
we're
all have to
sentient
live.
beings.
We all want to live. Otherwise,
Yeah.
your species wouldn't be viable, right? What happens in the wild, though? If a lion wants to eat X, Y, or Z, a zebra, is that okay?
Yeah, they're in that situation where it's a necessity. We're not talking necessity here. We don't need to, you don't need to consume these animals and pay for their abuse and put them in these situations, breeding them into existence. That's not necessary, but what an animal does in the wild, they don't even decide that. They just have to do that, but you don't.
So maybe animals in like captivity should be vegan as well.
In captivity, meaning in terms of what we feed them, they shouldn't be in captivity in the first place. You know,
I think that too, but if they're being rescued from somewhere, like
yeah, there's a difference between a sanctuary and a zoo. Yeah.
Well, I went to Taronga Zoo years ago, and we were heaps weirded out. We're like, oh, this is a bit gross. And we're actually just in Hawaii, and we were weirded out as well. And the guy was saying to us, you know, these animals here have been rescued from bad environments. Like there's a couple of African animals. I can't remember the big thing with the big fucking horns. Not a rhinoceros.
What, like a springbok or something?
Something like that. Anyway.
It's just nice.
some big-headed deer. They said basically this thing had been brought up in captivity or something, and there was being abused or whatever it was, sold in the exotic animal trade. Should they be vegan as well?
Should they be vegan? I don't know what animal you're talking about, whether they are a strict carnivore or whether they are a herbivorous animal.
Okay.
It's more about why they're there in the first place, and are they being held in captivity in a small enclosure? Should they be there, or should they be in an actual conservation, in a conservation land, wide area? People aren't coming and paying to view them just to keep them there, and most zoos aren't like that. Most zoos.
When it comes to rescued animals, I've seen people make this argument, like, why don't you give it to a sanctuary or something, like with our horse, Jake. You can't just give an animal to a sanctuary a lot of the times, and quite often the sanctuary won't be able to provide it as high quality of life as it might live, say, on somebody's private property. So as long as it's being rescued and it has a high quality of care, I don't really have a problem with an animal being in a zoo. The issue is if they're going to buy more animals from like breeders and stuff to support the zoo, and the zoo isn't just there to, you know, be there for animals that are being rescued, that's the issue when it becomes exploitative.
I don't know what kind of case you're talking about here where they were rescued from a bad situation, but most of them aren't.
Well,
Majority of them aren't.
It was the bloke in Taronga Zoo. He said, because we were heaps sus on, like, oh, why have you got this particular animal? It's called a kadu, I think.
What's that?
Oh, it's a Lordy, can you look up a kadu? I'll look it up because Lordy doesn't want to be interrupted while he's doing the things.
Tash just did a protest at a zoo, so she's probably well fit.
Well,
Tash, what is a kadu?
Any kadoos
No,
there?
I don't know.
What'd you do at the zoo? What was your protest at the zoo?
I just did a protest outside of Perth Zoo shortly before we headed over east.
Just before you hightailed it out of there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just went from the zoo to the airport.
I was
Yeah,
right.
essentially, yeah.
It was a kadu.
They're pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Fuck, I nailed
Yeah.
that.
No, you didn't. You didn't even know what it was.
I said kadu and I looked up kadu. That is a kadu.
Yeah,
How do you do?
We got there.
Mr. Kadu. I'm just
We
going to
got
get
there.
some beers. Do you want a drink?
I'm all good.
I destroyed
No,
stuff.
good, thanks.
Yeah, what'd you do at the zoo?
Yeah, what did you do at the zoo?
Well, it wasn't really a disruptive protest because we just did it on the outside, but basically it was in light of an elephant who was held captive in Perth Zoo for, how long was it, Jack? Maybe like 40, 50 years.
Yeah, elephant. Long life.
And spent like a majority of her life literally in a tiny cell. And they make up this narrative that she was rescued and she was going to be hunted in Vietnam, and that's why she's there. She's safe now. And she passed away. So in light of that, I decided to go and bring light to all the animals held in captivity there, because everyone had this special connection with this particular elephant, and most of us humans do have a special connection with a non-human animal. And I wanted to point out the hypocrisy of not only supporting zoos that are literally enslaving animals when there are alternatives to help species, rather than enslaving them and sending them to the other side of the world, but also to bring light to the hypocrisy of caring so much for this elephant that she had a whole memorial, yet people are eating the bodies of other species every day of their lives.
It is like most other people, like it's not something that you give a lot of thought to at all. Like genuinely, probably literally since the last time that we spoke to you, it's not something you give any thought to, but it is. You're 100% right. There is definitely a hypocrisy to it. Like we've got a golden retriever that we like. You've seen what you guys are like with your dogs.
Don't know what you're talking about, mate. Don't know what you're talking
It
about.
is definitely like a kind of weird hypocrisy where you say, okay, like a dog's play on, a dog's your mate, and you would never. But then,
But they are man's best friend. that's part of human culture.
But that's
now, right?
subjective, right?
yeah, it is subjective,
but
but there
over
is
thousands of
cultures as well
years.
where they eat them too. But it is also a thing as too as like I'm not saying it to be a dickhead, but it's like I've grown up knowing dogs are friends, and I've grown up knowing that cows and stuff are food.
So do we.
And I also like am quite content with it that way. Like I'm like it's just, and I don't know. I'm only speaking for myself.
You've drawn a line.
Well,
You said dogs,
I haven't drawn
okay.
the line.
Well,
That's
okay.
that I haven't
That's
drawn
how
that line. That's the line that
Been drawn
I
for
feel
you, yeah.
feel exists. And so that, and what you guys are saying is like 100% correct. It is a weird hypocrisy, but
You guys have just drawn a line in a different place. I imagine, killing insects is fine.
No, we haven't drawn a
Absolutely not.
line
They're
anywhere.
sentient
Yeah,
beings.
it's really. I mean, you probably got a good response for that. So.
Well, both of us grew up with the exact same belief system because it's ingrained in our society.
yeah. So
In
did you used to
Western
eat?
society,
Sorry, did you used to eat meat as well?
Yeah. We went
You
vegan.
fucking pig.
Same
Together.
Nothing wrong with pigs. We went vegan 5 years ago, both of us.
Cool.
yeah, coincidentally didn't know each other then, but
Yeah.
it just happened to be that. But yeah, that's how we grew up too. This is just how society is. But once we found out the truth that we didn't need to be contributing to these industries and realize what animals are subjected to in every industry, not just factory farming, in other forms of farming, we don't need to be contributing to that because at the end of the day, they're all abused, tortured, enslaved, and murdered. And that's when we realize we don't need to be contributing to this anymore. And there's ingrained speciesism in our society, and it's just about awakening to that.
I mean,
Is that evolutionary to a degree? Do you reckon? Like from the hunter gatherer kind of speciesism? I assume you mean like I think I'm better than a cow. Is that kind of what that means?
Oh, I could imagine.
Is that what
Yeah.
speciesism means though? So
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
a scaffolder. You're gonna have to fucking go slow with me sometimes.
of
but
course.
when you say speciesism, you mean like I think I'm better than a cow.
I also
So
think
like
I'm better than
human
a cow.
superiority.
Is there a degree of, do you think, like if you went back to when we were cavemen? the
Well, I
hunter-gatherer
returned to
thing,
kick or
like that
keep.
was
They asked
food.
me on.
Like that, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? And that's how we've evolved to get to this point, which is obviously not perfect in a thousand different ways, but like
Yeah.
that's that's a degree of why we think of them like that is because of where we've come from as humans.
I agree with that,
Yeah,
that's where you draw the line between necessity and just kind of
Like now, it's not that was the only way to get food. Not the only way, but that was like
It may have been for some populations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And who knows before that? You know.
What do you want me to fucking answer? Like, why the fuck are you saying I'm dodging anything? Do you think I can read the entire fucking chat?
Before, when we evolved closer to apes, we may have been existing on a predominantly fruitarian diet. And then as we evolved and as the landscape changed, there's probably less fruit trees around, whatever it be. So then there probably was a greater necessity for survival to eat other individuals, other animals.
Yeah.
And then that's probably when, and we've spoken about this, that's probably when we started viewing them as things rather than someone's, because we saw them for their flesh. They were a survival necessity. Whereas before that, they probably would have just been
brown down.
just brown
down.
You know what I mean? Like
Potentially. I did see a video the other day of a horse eating a mouse. I don't know what anyone has to say about that.
Yeah.
Jack, what do you think?
I think the horse was curious.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'm a little bit curious too. But I think, as you say, it is a necessity of human evolution to go out and find the best possible source of energy.
At a point in time, there probably was a necessity to consume another individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're opportunistic eaters. We just ate whatever the hell we could.
To grow and get to the point to where we are now.
Yeah.
As you said, Tash, like you believe that all
Wings
animals are
doll, what's
sentient
up?
beings.
Or
So where
Wangadol.
can we draw a line at all? Like, can we kill a mouse that's in our house?
Absolutely not.
So
I mean,
what do you do if
the
your
line
house is in?
drawn whether they're sentient or not.
Have you killed a cockroach?
No.
Lies.
Even as a non-vegan, I never wanted to cause harm to anyone or kill anyone.
Oh boy, yeah, this might be a bit of a issue for her. So if you have something like a mouse infestation or a cockroach infestation, like especially cockroach infestation, first of all, they're carnivorous. I don't know why you'd care about killing them. They also don't live long. They live like, what, 30 days or something? So, yeah, they're violating your rights. They're carnivorous. It's absolutely ethical to kill cockroaches in your house with like poison. When it comes to mice, like ideally you'd use non-kill traps and you could just get rid of them that way. But again, if the only way to get rid of a mouse infestation is through using something like poisons, it's absolutely appropriate and okay to do that. If you want to live in a mouse-infested house, I guess that's up to you. But it's ethical to use lethal means to get rid of a mouse infestation if you have to. They're violating your rights. They're in your home. They're also a massive health risk as well.
I was always that kid in school that would try and stop people from killing the spider in the room and rescue them. It was already inherently in me.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to cause harm
It's about
to
the
anyone.
option, right? Like you had the option.
Am I
So you
gaming
just relocate
tonight?
them
Probably not.
outside.
Kind of just want that new game to come out, Starfield. I'll play that.
Or do I
just running
squish
around-
them?
Are you just running around the house at night when Tash goes to sleep with a can of Mortine, or what's going on?
No, well, I think there was one time we were in an Airbnb and there was actually a huntsman on top of our.
You can't kill the huntsmans.
No,
You
of
just,
course not.
You fucking better not, Jack.
No,
Jesus
of course
Christ.
not. So you just brush them out, you know? It's that simple, you know, like.
I don't know why that would be a problem. They're carnivorous. And like especially spiders, they kill their prey in horrific ways.
Look, what you were talking about, if there's a mouse in your house, are you absolutely engulfed in some animal, like whether it be a cockroach or just some type
An
of insect?
infestation.
An infestation, yeah. That's a completely different scenario to having a mouse in your house and then you just remove them, you relocate them. We're talking about practicality.
So, like, if it's an infestation, it'd be okay to take a life.
I don't know. I don't know. This is a very contextual thing.
Yeah.
And these are quite
Because some people would
extreme
argue that
circumstances.
kangaroos are infestation in certain places.
Yeah, well, we actually watched a documentary on that. You probably have a good information
Yeah, well,
on
there's an
kangaroos.
interesting documentary that sort of exposes the kangaroo industry. It's called Kangaroo the Movie. And
That's
yeah,
a very inventive title.
I know, right? Easy to remember.
Let's hop on and watch it.
It's a brilliant documentary, and again, we've been led to this idea that they are pests and that they're riddled everywhere. Where there's actually been a parliamentary inquiry to show that there are certain local extinctions happening because they are literally being mass murdered for their flesh and for their skin.
It's an industry now.
I think we're the only country on the planet that eat our coat of arms too. You've got to.
If babies were crawling around your house bothering you, would it be okay to exterminate them?
Yeah, obviously. Just stuff them in a garbage bag. Thanks for the donation, Queef.
A roo and an emu, and I don't think anywhere else eats the animals that are on their coat of arms.
It's actually,
but they probably don't taste very good either.
Well, I think
it's a barbaric industry where they shoot the mothers in the head and then they rip the live joey out of her pouch and then they hit them against the bull bar of the car.
Yeah.
It's
It is
disgusting.
standard. My brother went out to a mate's house and he was out in the bush and they started just shooting kangaroos and beating them over the head with rocks. And I was like, Jesus, what the fuck? Like, why would you do that? Like, I understand, like, because there is this story about
That's
that
horrific.
my brother was telling me, and it was an article about erosion, and it was from like the EPA or an agency like that, and it talked about this fence that they built, a dingo fence, and the dingo fence ran into issues because the fence was, let's just say it's here on the table, right? Dingoes couldn't get through it. Kangaroos started to overpopulate this area, and they ate all the grass, or the grass sort of disappeared. And then it sort of made these sand dunes, if you will. The sand dunes started to form and change shape and get higher and higher. And then that changed the way that the wind would move because the wind was hitting here. And what it did was it eventually changed the weather in Sydney. It changed the weather. This from this fence, from the overpopulation of kangaroos, changed the climate. So here's the argument. Is that okay? Is it okay for the kangaroos to eat? And I know they're wild animals, so should we intervene? I guess that's the question. But they have...
Well, best way to intervene would be to prevent them from breeding, not to just like brutally murder them.
Or they're young, they can't eat, they can't fight for themselves, and they lay there starving. Or the older ones lay there starving because they can't fight for food and all that type of stuff. Do we let nature play its course, or do we come here and go, okay, if we take the lives of these animals here, it will save all of these young animals' lives? What do we value more, an older animal or a younger animal in this particular case?
It sounds like an ethical dilemma.
Well,
and
this
what
is all
you're
ethical
doing,
dilemmas, isn't it?
Right. And what you're doing there is you're actually evaluating the situation.
Well, what's funny is, if he's going to say, should we kill kangaroos because if we don't kill them, they'll literally change the climate, what are people doing? We've done more to change the climate on Earth than any fucking animal. So is he like saying it's okay to kill humans because we change the climate? So, like, the obvious solution to this would be, in my mind, come up with some sort of solution to just prevent them from breeding. So, like, make some sort of castration gun.
And that's, you know, everyone would have to do that. Whether you're vegan or not, you have to evaluate the context there. And to go back on that, I would probably then say, like, who were the first to intervene? Kangaroos have been living here for millions of years, likely, you know. And then humans, and then when
I don't know why that wouldn't have come to his mind
happen.
first.
And yes, that can happen. No.
Like, he mentioned climate change. How is human climate change or anthropocentric climate change not come to his mind?
Okay, just trying to work that out.
That creates an even further ethical dilemma there.
Sure.
But what you're doing there is like, you could replace this with any scenario, and you're evaluating the situation. You're saying, what is the most ethical thing to do? And that's what a vegan does. We do that we don't do it every day. We made the choice a long time ago not to consume animals because we weighed it up. We're like, what is the ethical choice here? Is it to continue to partake in these animal abuse industries, or do we just make the simple change and just not consume them all anymore? And that's what you're doing. And you do the same in that context. Whatever it is, you just evaluate it and you just make the logical choice, really, the ethical choice.
What would you say to someone who says, and this is for both you guys, who says, I perform better when I eat animal products? So for me, for an example, when I was on like a keto diet, right, because I used to be about 130 kilos and I lost a bit of weight. When I was eating my normal diet, which was carbohydrate rich, still eating like, you know, veggies and all that type of stuff, but carbohydrate rich, eating way too much, too many calories basically, because I was a bit of a pig. Well, nothing wrong with pigs.
Pigs like to eat.
We should know.
Pigs like to eat.
Exactly. But when
This shit is funny as hell. You ever watched porn where a hot chick gags that deep that she pukes? You think that's hot?
I can't show this on YouTube. Yeah, you can literally see his wiener. He has really small balls. What the fuck? The fuck, dude? I do not understand. Why the fuck? Oh my god. That's one of the most funny videos I've ever seen. Some naked guy went to a public gym and then somebody, like, started fighting him. Then he goes outside bothering other people and he just... fucking fighting people naked in public. So weird. That's a good one.
When I was running off at high
Thanks for
saturated
that
fat
donation, dude.
diet, I was running further, I was lifting heavier, and I felt better. It also, which was really
Yeah, that can all be explained by just losing weight and having a better diet than you were eating before.
interesting, because I have epilepsy, it stopped the seizures.
Yeah, there's definitely scenarios.
Well, yeah, ketogenic diets can prevent epileptic seizures, but I'm pretty sure modern drugs are better at doing that than keto diets.
Where a certain diet can work better for individuals, but that doesn't mean it still can't be plant-based. You get saturated fat from a plant-based diet.
What do you get saturated fat?
Well, you don't need saturated fat for a keto diet. You just need to consume fat.
From coconuts.
Coconuts, palm.
Coconuts and palm oil.
There's peanuts have saturated fat. It really depends on what you're
Well, they don't have much saturated fat. They're very low.
trying to run off here. And look, you can do it vegan. You know what I mean? Like, does that outweigh the life of another individual? You know, putting them through all that suffering just so you can perform better? Like, that doesn't, you know, imagine if your dietary choice harmed and murdered another human. Would you say that
I think we make choices every day that harm other humans.
Right, you're right. But if we have a choice, it's like, oh, I want to perform well, but I'm going to harm this person. So, but that's like still,
It's not about harming somebody else. It's about violating their rights. You can do things that harm somebody, but doesn't violate their rights.
trying to say that you don't even have to be consuming that diet. You can do the vegan version and still perform just as well. Yeah.
Sure. I would argue you would need to be a much more careful person of what you ate, and you need to be much more prepared, which a lot of people aren't. We make decisions every day. I've got an iPhone, and I guarantee that people's lives have been lost over iPhones, whether it's the rare minerals that go into a battery or go into however these things work, I'm not too sure, or the clothes that I wear, the merch that I sell. I sell that for
Yeah, you're not necessarily violating somebody's rights by buying that stuff, but you are violating somebody's rights by eating animal products.
crazy prices. G'day, ladies and gentlemen. And it's made for pennies on the dollar by sweatshops. I don't think that's actually true, but
probably
but
is.
potentially. You're wearing a shirt that maybe that was made somewhere where, you know, ethically speaking, maybe we shouldn't have bought it. Is that something you could weigh up as well?
Yeah. I mean, like, what would you say to that?
Well, yeah, it's obviously difficult because in those circumstances, you can only try your best to choose through informing yourself, what is the most ethical option. And for here, it's blatantly obvious that if you're consuming animal products, wearing animal products, someone was most definitely abused, tortured, and murdered to get that product.
But do
and
you
it
have
is so easy
you have an
to
iPhone,
get an
right?
alternative.
You have an
Samsung.
iPhone, yeah?
Yeah, I have a phone, yeah.
Yeah. So wouldn't you say that that's a similar situation? You know that these people are working in shit conditions. Maybe like the Samsung. I think it's the Apple or the iPhone factories.
Yeah,
have
Foxconn, beautiful Foxconn in wherever it is. Wherever they make.
So not buying an iPhone would like prove to me that would in any way improve their lives. Like you can't. Presumably they'd just be doing some other job that's likely worse because people naturally just choose jobs that, you know, make them the most amount of money, that have the best working hours, like best combination of things. So how would you improve somebody's life by not buying an iPhone? You wouldn't. It's just that if we were to boycott iPhones tomorrow, those same people would just be working some other shitty job.
Make iPhones. That's Foxconn. Look
Okay.
at that.
But
the suicide nets outside.
The suicide nets that Bluey said, not me. The suicide nets that are allegedly outside.
They're definitely outside.
So
Alleged.
allegedly outside. Don't sue me. Foxconn. I don't even know who that is.
That's who makes iPhones.
Allegedly. So you know that this happens, but yet you still make the decision to have a phone.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's obviously impossible to avoid harm 100% in this world.
However,
It
I
is
would then say,
impossible.
though, you just find an ethical phone company. You know, it can be done. It's not like someone.
Yeah, they don't really know the proper debunk to this. I'll message Tash and tell her about that. Yeah. Let's see. I saw that you were on the Isaac Butterfield podcast and you got tripped up when he asked you about the ethics of buying products like iPhones where workers are mistreated, exploited. He would have to provide some kind of proof that their lives would improve if iPhones were boycotted. Presumably, They're working the best job that is available.
If you could be equivalent to Jesus for all animals, eliminate all rights violations and everyone would live in peace, would you do it? The only cavo is that you would have to suck off Frank and swallow his load.
Yeah. If I could be equivalent to Jesus, eliminate all rights violations. Yes, sure, I'd swallow Frank Fano's load.
What's up, guys?
I'm not watching this. Those videos are shit. Thanks for the nation, Cordy. Josh donated $2. I was talking to an anti-vegan, and they said the requirements for rights were to serve society and be held responsible to society. I made hypotheticals of humans that don't meet this is another galaxy. He said hypotheticals are nonsense, disappointing. He's stupid. Just don't bother talking to him. Thanks for the donation, dude.
Has to die to have I don't even know what you're referring to, so I have to look into it, and that's what we do. You just inform yourself of the truth, and then you make an ethical choice. It's like, okay, I found out tomorrow iPhones are unethical. Humans had to die for it. I don't know if that's true or not.
Do you have
I'll
an
find
iPhone?
out. No, I don't.
What do you have?
Pixel.
Pixel.
But then if I found out tomorrow,
Fucking vegans.
it's, you know,
Pixels and Samsung. Get out of this fucking studio.
It was cheap. It was cheap. But you know, if I found out
Do
tomorrow,
you know why it was cheap? Because 400 people died making Jack's iPhone.
I mean, I bought this many years ago. I probably wasn't even thinking about it. But now that I know, I'll inform myself and I'll be like,
Nope. There is no possible way for him to know what's happened through the supply chain. Like, the supply chain's extremely complex as well. You're not just making phones with simple raw materials that are native to the region they're assembled in. So minerals like cobalt, coltan, lithium, things that are required for the electronics, the battery, shit like that. Like, you're talking about getting minerals from different places in Africa, some of it coming from the United States, some of it coming within China, all over the fucking place. You're not going to have any fucking clue what mines these are coming from, how these people are working. You're also talking about like the refining process as well, it getting transported. There's other companies that actually shape all these materials, then it goes to like a different assembling plant. There's no way for you to know in the supply chain if some sort of rights violation is taking place where it would be unjustifiable to buy an iPhone. And again, we can assume with a relatively high degree of certainty that they're probably not being made with slave labor. So you're not really supporting a rights violation by supporting an iPhone. You might be supporting, say, unfair labor, but not necessarily a rights violation. And even with the issue of unfair labor, again, you boycotting Apple and never buying an iPhone because you don't agree with their labor practices for their employees, like at Foxconn, it's not going to do anything because, again, presumably, you know, that job at Foxconn assembling iPhones, that was their first choice for employment, the best job they could get, you know, that makes the best money, has the best combination of things like hours worked versus, you know, compensation. If you were to boycott iPhones tomorrow, and they couldn't make iPhones anymore, presumably they'd have to choose the next best form of employment. So it's going to be a shittier job that has more hours, it's harder, you don't make as much money, something like that. So the only way to solve these issues is to change the labor laws in those countries. Like, boycotting just isn't going to do anything.
If I had to buy another phone, I'll find the ethical company, and I'm sure there are. I think I've seen ethical phone companies.
I think there was a study and said that if you wanted to buy an ethical phone, it would cost you like 3 times the price.
Would it?
4 times the price. It's crazy.
Well, I think that doesn't outweigh the life, you know, of an individual. So it's like that's what you do.
I agree. It's beneficial to have the phone.
Human body.
So if I ran down the street
as a kid, so.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about your missus. Like,
we've all sucked on nipples.
Oh, I sucked a nipple. Like, okay, mate, that's not what we're talking about. So you think it's fine to be naked on the street?
Certainly.
What if I ran down the street of Sydney nude?
Go for it.
Quite the visual.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I don't.
Would it?
I don't get.
What if I spread my ass cheeks in a bank? Should I be allowed to do that? If I walked into the iPhone factory and spread my ass cheeks, would it stop the suicides or increase them? That's what I want to know.
It would increase them. There would definitely be more deaths.
If I flop my hemorrhoid... Anyway, sorry, go.
Oh, wow.
Firstly, I do not get completely naked in front of anywhere in public. I am topless. How many topless men do we see in public?
Yeah, but it's not the same.
And suddenly it's an issue when a woman
Nipples aren't
does it.
equal. I'll argue this until the cows come home.
Well, yeah, of course, male and female bodies are different, but there's nothing inherent.
Men will fight
there's
a
no moral
war
difference.
for nipples, from female nipples. Do you care about Jack's nipples?
Certainly.
Bullshit. You don't care. If he turned up tomorrow without nipples, you wouldn't even notice. If she turned out without nipples, what are you going to suck on? You just brought that up. That was your fault. I'm telling you, male and female nipples are different.
Seeing my naked body or me in
depends on social.
Stream it to Patreon.
All right, well, that's my critiques of that video. Let's see. When does Starfield release exactly? Yeah, I think it's at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's so fucking stupid, dude. What the hell's this shit? $90. Better be fucking good. Sometimes they change when it releases for whatever fucking reason. Where's the community hub? There we go.
Someone in his comments was saying that Mike the Vegan's frequent references to animal research is a problem because it reinforces its legitimacy. I was curious about whether you agree and your thoughts if you have any.
I don't know when and why he's referencing animal research. And no. I don't think it reinforces its legitimacy. But I have no idea what he's referring to. Like when I don't know what the context is when he's talking about animal research, so no idea. I don't watch his videos. Thanks for the donation, though, Alexa. %70 loading screens and fast traveling. Huh. Fuck.
Game Reviewer says playing Starfield is like being stuck in a fishbowl. Okay.
For everyone that thought that Todd's promise of 1,000 planets to freely explore sounded too good to be
You got a
true,
shotgun.
you were painfully right to be skeptical. When you land on a planet, you don't actually get to explore it freely. A few points of interest are put on the map, but if you run too far off course, sometimes only a kilometer away from a point of interest, you'll be treated to an invisible wall telling you to return to your ship. The game doesn't actually give you planets to explore, as was promised by Todd Howard and Pete Hines in the lead up to the game's launch. It generates a small map each time you land that's built off of a seed from the given planet that you're landing on, and where on that planet you've selected to land, whether it's a pre-assigned landing location with a point of interest on it, or a random location that you choose. Simply put, it's an illusion of scale and freedom. Though to be fair, some people won't consider this a big deal, but like I said, it
I'm one of
grows
those
all the more
people.
frustrating when you go out into the great unknown trying to explore like previous Bethesda games, only to be greeted with invisible.
Yep, I'm not buying this game. Well, that's too fucking bad. Dodo $90, I missed your last stream, but have you reacted to this? Yeah, I already reacted to that last night. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Yeah, well, that's that. Not getting Starfield, shit game. It's basically nothing but loading screens. And nowhere to explore. No Man's Sky sucks, dude. I don't know how anybody was ever a fan of that game. It's so shit. You do nothing but fucking digging dirt. That's it. You do nothing in that game. That's not an exaggeration. There's just nothing to do but dig dirt. Yeah, I guess we'll play whatever the fuck. It's in my library at some point. Still just not fucking in a video game mood. I don't know why. Just lately I've not wanted to play video games. I cannot explain why. Just don't want to. No, hate Skyrim. Dodo $90 react to this. Also, when are you going to play Life is Strange 3? Probably never going to play that. And Dead Space game. Maybe later. Some point.
He's sick. He's a Nazi. He's a white supremacist. Just cockatoos staring at climate change, Ukraine.
How many times has he done this bit?
Just turned MAGA comedian.
Pandemic.
Yeah, that is really cringe, dude. He's been making that same joke for like, what, 3 years now? Pretty stupid. Thanks for that donation though, Dodo. Yeah, I don't know. I just plain and simple do not want to play anything. Which is weird, because usually I do, but I just don't. Oh yeah, the Miku rhythm game. Don't really want to play that right now either. Think I'm just gonna end the stream. I'm not tired, but I'm probably just gonna do some grip and neck training, and I might rollerblade too. Donate tellers, the Mog audience really liked his jokes. They couldn't stop laughing. What does that tell you about them, like this woman?
So I have a little news about Nasara, Jasara. Now this isn't fresh. It's kind of fresh. But I have to tell you about what happened about a year ago. I walked into my bank. I wanted to test the water. I wanted to see if anyone at my bank knew anything, because I've been told that if your bank doesn't know anything, then more than likely your bank's not involved. So, I wanted to know. So I went into my bank and I walked up to the manager and I said, "Do you have any of that rainbow currency?" And she looked at me shocked, like, "What?" And then I said, "I know we're going to precious metals. I know that we're about to be backed by gold, silver, and all precious metals." And she was shocked. I think she was shocked that it came from me. That if anyone was to know this, it was not going to be me. I'm just a farmer's wife. What do I know?
Don't care. She's boring and talks too slow. Yeah, so I'm just gonna log off. Thanks for checking out the stream, everybody. Oh god.
How would you respond to a utilitarian making the argument that more animals are killed per calorie farming crops versus hunting large herbivores? Would you attack utilitarianism or the sustainability of such practice? Hope you're doing okay, BTW. Many love ya.
I don't argue with utilitarians, I just tell them to fuck off. They're all retarded. I don't fucking care. You're not violating anybody's rights by harvesting crops. There's your answer. Thanks for the nation, Josh. Stop asking me about stupid fucking utilitarian bullshit. It drives me fucking nuts. I can't stand them. They, like, every fucking debate I've ever been in with a utilitarian, they're like, oh yeah, it's okay to rape women when they're unconscious. Nighty night, everybody. Thanks to everybody who donated. Really appreciate it. Sweet dreams.